We're in trouble now?
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS-80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
This is CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. It's time to drop your socks and grab your real-time clocks, and let's rock.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. And episode 105, countdown to CoCoFEST, 1 week away.
The last one before the next CoCoFEST.
Yes.
Yay! Yay! The last one before the next CoCoFEST that's last.
All right, let's see. Who we got with us today? We'll start in the upper right square. Mark Overhoster, how you doing today?
I think I'm in the upper left, but okay. I'm glad to be here.
Left and
And
right.
I'll be at CoCoFEST. I'll be at CoCoFEst.
You're other right.
He's got it right.
It's the other right.
The other, yeah, that right.
All right, next up, Ron Delvaux.
Hello. How's everybody?
Pretty good. Seen any good moon lately?
Yeah. I got some stickers I'm bringing to CoCoFEST. I am coming.
Cool.
You guys
You
want
are.
What does this say? My other
the
computer?
back window of your car?
Show it again. Nice.
That's cool.
That's good.
Nice one.
Bringing a bunch of them, so hopefully
Cool.
I can sell
All right. Next up on the panel, Curtis. Curtis Boyle from Canada. How you
Hello,
doing today?
everyone. I've got some stuff to announce today, but we'll wait till the tech segment, I think, for that. I'll mention it during the project updates and stuff, but I'll save the meat and potatoes of it till later.
Okay.
them. Oh, meat, potatoes, yum.
We can't wait. We can't wait.
Always keep him wanting more.
That's called a teaser.
Teaser. All right. Next up, Brian Weasler. How you doing?
Doing good. Doing very good. How's everybody?
Oh, not too bad. I see you got Zaxxon going on there in the background. I think that is anyway.
That is correct.
All right.
Yeah. And I see you got the right color set, too. So.
The updated version.
Was that the Z89 one? I can't quite
Yes.
tell.
Yep. That's his. Yep.
Okay.
That's the Z89.
Cool.
But never mind my previous comment.
Yes.
All right. Next up, we got David O'Connor.
It's good to be back, everybody, in the on the craziest, coolest geek talk in the universe on the CoCo computer.
It is. Glad to have you back.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Good you narrowed it down.
All right. And I think you have a update for us a little later on, though, right?
Yeah, there's a bit of a project update on the big modular project going on behind me.
Cool.
I'll elaborate on soon.
Well, lots of blinky lights.
Mm.
I like blinky lights, except on alarm panels.
Yep. I can relate to that.
And next up, Nick Marotta. How's it going?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Oh, doing fine today.
Yes, I have an actual CoCo update this week, which you can already see in the back of me.
Cool.
But I am legit. At least I feel legit.
You've joined the club.
I've
legit
joined
to
the
quit?
club. I've dipped my toe into the lake, and here we go.
There's no turning back.
Now, there's no shame in not having real CoCo hardware, but you know,
Sorry?
There's no shame in not having real cocoa hardware.
Oh, of course not.
We applaud you joining the club.
This is my own personal. I feel more legit. Nothing to do with anybody else. But the emulator just wasn't cutting it for me.
I think Mark is just trying to justify his Apple II computer in the background there.
All right. Next up.
I'm telling you. Oh, sorry. I'll just say. I'm telling you. It feels like I have a piece of my childhood back. It's amazing.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's
amazing they work after all these years.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then PCs are all in the all in the dump, landfill.
It seems to be too whenever anything goes wrong with a CoCo, it's not usually a major problem. It's usually pretty easy to fix.
Yep. Basic
like
stuff.
Like I said, I heard there's a date before which capacitors were okay, and then between a certain range they were junk, and now they're okay again. So maybe the CoCo is before they were junk.
Yeah, a lot of the older ones seem to have held up better, but it's not a bad idea to replace them anyway with the good modern ones.
And Mr. Lorbieski at Voice on Tech will do that for you. I've had both of mine done.
Cool.
Yeah.
It all depends. I'd recommend taking it to somebody who knows what they, like Mark was just saying, take it to someone who knows what they're doing, because replacing old capacitors with new capacitors, if you replace them with the wrong one, you can actually degrade the performance. It's important to replace them with high quality ones of the right type for the application.
CoCo categories.
Yeah, and if you look at the Mouser catalog, it's about 3 inches thick. So there's lots of choices.
Okay, now we need a soundbite of Stevie yelling, "Someone get that cat some water."
I'll have to find that. It's in at least a couple of the episodes.
I've seen a few people report that when they recap their CoCos, the video improves. It gets a little sharper.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah, that'll happen because of ripple on the power supply lines can affect the RF modulator or the video outputs. And when you get rid of the ripple, you get rid of all the unwanted artifacts on the screen.
If I weren't in Canada, or if I were in the US, I would send it in. But it's kind of hard being in Canada.
It's looking pretty good in the background there. It's looking like it's working well.
I have a bit of a yellow stripe on the left-hand side, but other than that,
is it a CoCo tube?
It's a CoCo 2. Yes, it's a CoCo 2.
There you go.
There's actually French on the bottom.
Yeah, there's a fix for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, something about changing a timing chip or something.
Yeah.
Spelled correctly, color.
But I am not a hardware guy, so I'm gonna live with it.
Okay. Well, next up on the panel is Terry Steege, or how do we pronounce that?
Stiggy.
Stiggy.
Okay.
Stiggy. Can't hear you though.
Okay, you're muted there, Stevie. I think he's got you got your mute button pressed there.
Yeah, he's the Zoom is not muted, but somewhere else.
We'd be hearing crickets by now. Stevie was here.
All right,
that's better. Yep.
Sorry about that.
We can hear you now.
Much better. Much better.
It was probably better when it was muted, but how's it going, everybody?
Come on.
That'd be mean. We're not like that.
Come on.
All right. Let's see. Next up, Jason Reichard. How you doing?
Hey. I am looking forward to CoCoFEST next week. I am nowhere near ready, but I did stop at my local CVS today and I picked up some Australian style licorice to enjoy during the show.
Of course.
Yeah.
What?
Australian.
I was just going to say that.
Vegemite or what?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't say it's Australian. It says it's Australian style. So
turn it back upside down.
Upside down then.
Turn it upside down.
Get that man some Tim Tams.
Tim Tams, yeah, they're good. There's only one thing I wouldn't like is licorice coated with Vegemite. I love Vegemite, but not on licorice, especially not. I couldn't think of anything worse, to be honest. That'd be pretty.
Disgusting.
my MC10's ready for CoCoFEST, but did I hear Ron saying he's going?
I'm going, and I will be bringing mine also.
Oh, then I don't need to bring my MC10 since you're coming then.
It's MC10 Fest.
Or
Yeah,
could we set a
Well,
new record for 2 MC10s at CoCoFest?
Why not?
We're going to need about 4 dozen MC10s here just to show off Jim Gary's new games since last year. So.
Well, I've got the memory now. I've got the memory module from Zipster, and I'll be getting the case for it at CoCoFest. So,
well, looks like we got plenty of doorstops.
That's right. I was going to say, all bring your MC10s. There'll be plenty of doors at CoCoFest.
I want one.
Careful, Jason. Don't put it too close to your head. You're going to get brain cancer.
well, I also have the aftermarket generic MC10.
The improved model.
It does not work. It does not work with the Zipster memory expansion module, though.
On the other hand, it is extremely low power. So.
Yes, it's like it uses nothing at all.
It's the green MC10.
It's got a nice sloping front panel too.
Is it the? Is it
has
the
a better
memory module?
keyboard.
Is it the memory module or the video upgrade that on the MC10 that you can't quite get the case back on?
Well, the memory module just plugs into the back, so I can't.
Okay.
I don't have the video upgrade. I'll still be doing channel 3-4 out. So
It must be the video upgrade that when you install that, it's kind of harder to get the case back on or something. It's too.
No, mine went on fine.
Okay.
So, Jason, you bought the MCX 128?
correct, yeah, from Ed Snyder. Yep. It was about the same price as I would have paid for a vintage module, and it was available. The other ones are hard to come by.
He's not here to speak for himself, but Mike, that did the Pi drive wire, supports the MCX 128 with the MC server, so you can load software that way.
Mikey's on YouTube watching, so.
Oh, good.
I have a cassette cable. I have a CoCo cassette cable that works just fine with the MC10, and I actually haven't had a chance to load anything over 4K yet since I got it. But
don't forget, it is a micro color computer.
Right. Although it doesn't appear to have a Becker port on it. I can't find a Becker port on any of my computers. So
they're virtual.
I've been reading a lot about that on the mailing list lately, but I can't find my Becker port.
They're virtual. You won't find it.
Ah.
Preach on, Ron.
Did the stream get forwarded on Facebook?
I did see a Facebook notification.
Yes, I am watching it live on Facebook. We want a link?
So we do seem to have an issue with the chat over here, and I have no idea what to do to fix that.
Oh yeah, right. Just noticed that. There's no one in there. Well, there is people in there, but we're not seeing it.
Well, you see it briefly. It goes on, and then it just takes them off after a minute or two. Which I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, and I haven't found a setting yet to fix that. And if I dig too far into it, it might break it really good.
Let's see. Next up on help you with that.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Said I could probably help you with that setting on the chat.
Well, you're next up anyway on the panel.
Great to be here.
Yeah.
It's Mr. Inman.
Yes, Rob.
Yeah, actually, I have a Z89 question for Brian Weisler. Brian, you out there?
Yes.
So when I play Z89, if I after a couple of rounds, I get a Steve Bjork surprise where all I can do is crash into the front wall, and I think that's one of his copy protection schemes. So that's from the Z89 that's on the archive. Does that happen to you?
Yeah, this is the one that was on the SD, and I will have to play it some more. I didn't realize that this one was on there until just recently. I've been playing. I usually play the older version, but I haven't played this one here very long. But I will certainly start playing it more and find out for you.
Yeah, if you play through all your guys and then you go to start the game over, all you can do is crash your head into a wall.
Oh yeah, like on the video that Steve did on YouTube. Yep. Or he runs into that issue. I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, that's a Stevie issue though, not a game issue. Oh. Was I supposed to say that out loud?
Just regular gameplay for Steve. It has nothing to do with a bug in the game.
Nope, I haven't played this one enough yet. Here, I just like I said, I just found it on the SDC. So.
Huh. All right. Well, next up on the panel, James Diffendaffer.
Now with 30% more trains.
Yeah, and I've got one going through now. This is what I get for not being fashionably late. What's up, guys?
Hi. Hope I got your name at least close to right. I'm missing a few letters there.
My name's been butchered so many times, I just say yeah.
We'll just call you James Daffy for now. How's
Diff
that?
and Daffer.
I'm always shocked when someone gets my name right. So,
Leighty?
All right. Next up, Al Hartman.
Hello.
How you doing?
Did you get your coffee yet?
Yes, I'm doing good on the Jersey Shore.
Al is caffeinated.
Yep, I am. Well, no, I'm decaffeinated.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Made my coffee. I'm a happy camper.
All right.
Got my ease of use and a cup of coffee, and I'm gonna have some fun after the show.
Yay!
Cool.
Play with my ease of use.
Let's see. Okay. Richard Lobrieski, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Let's see, we're 17 minutes into CoCoTALK, and I feel like I'm in a 10-hour Meryl Streep movie marathon.
Meryl Streep.
we couldn't ask for a better endorsement from Lorbieski.
Fine
That's
actress.
Right. The original dumpster fire. I'm doing great.
There's a lot of crying and accents in this CoCoTALK, is why.
Hey, Richard, are you recuperated from your vacation?
No, not quite. I'm trying to get over this. It's a bad sore throat situation, and I'm slowly recovering, and I've been contemplating whether or not if I was going to go to Chicago or not. But I'm pretty sure that I will be going. I had just been either working or in bed, and so it's been kind of tough. And yeah, I'm going to have to cut it short today anyway, because I'm going to have to work today. Tonight is the Fiesta Flambeau Parade. There's going to be about 500,000 people downtown, so I have to be there for my work.
That means there's going to be bikes everywhere.
Yeah, and the Spurs are playing tonight, so this is the 7th game. So if they win, there's going to be a lot of celebrations downtown. So yeah.
Maybe riots. Oh, it's
no, actually, San Antonio is pretty friendly. So it's just going to be a bunch of happy people having a good time, but it's definitely not car friendly.
Thus the bikes.
Yeah.
And maybe you should just stand a little further back from the dumpster fire so you don't get that throat irritation again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, good tip. Thank you.
Well, my Thunder won't be joining them, so they're done for the season. Let's see. Nick Marentes, how you doing?
Hey, not too bad. I see I'm on the bottom of the list. How appropriate. I'm on the bottom of the planet. I'm on the bottom of the list here.
We've got to tip that planet upside down, Nick.
Oh, that's right. Everyone's standing on their heads to me.
Saving the best for second last.
And you drive on the wrong side of the road.
What the hell is up with that? Yeah.
I don't know. Do you get less wrecks that way?
Oh,
someone's at the door. Did someone order a pizza?
No, I think it was a Danish.
I think we drive on whatever side of the road we want, don't we, Nick?
So that stripe down the middle is just optional, a suggestion, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Next up, uh-oh, my screen shifted on me. Polly T.
Hey, everybody, how you doing?
Pretty good.
That'd be Paul Thayer, right?
Aren't you, Paul?
Yo,
That's Paul Thayer, yes. What was the question?
I said, you're coming to the fest too, or is this the one you couldn't make at the last minute type thing?
I am coming. Me and Simon are driving in together.
That's right.
Cool. And speaking of Simon, he just showed up too. So,
well, this is this year's version of Bring Your Brother the CoCoFEST program that Ken and I initiated last year. So,
my brother's coming with me too.
Yeah, thanks. Ken can't make it this year, so thanks for the Thayers to continue the Bring Your Brother the CoCoFEST. What I'd like to call a new tradition.
Bring your brother and a Danish.
Someone's craving a Danish.
All right.
Yeah,
And-
Simon.
All right. Well, last up, Simon Jonason.
What are we talking about, guys?
Well, we're just saying hi today.
Intros. Just starting.
What's the topic?
Just
Yeah.
introducing people.
Yeah, it's only 20 minutes in. We're not even halfway through introducing, right?
No, we're done. We're done.
Yep.
Time to move on. Glad to have you here, Simon.
Skip this
Simon,
from
is
now
your
on.
presentation all done?
Is my demo done? No. No way.
not yet.
My demo done.
The demo is very cool, though. I had a look at it earlier, Simon, just a couple of hours ago, and I got the one you sent me that does work. It looks pretty spectacular, I must say.
Yeah.
Good work, nice work.
Paulie T's seen the other one, right? I'm still working on it. I'm only like 75% done. And I've got maybe 4 days to work on it before I fly out.
I have a feeling you'll be coding on an emulator on the plane ride over. That's
Probably, yes.
that's what's happened to me in the past. So
He's that hardcore. He will.
Last minute ideas. Yeah.
It will stop me thinking about falling out of the sky if I code on the plane. The plane's coming down some way, you know. Be it good or bad.
I think the Mad Lab will
Best-
definitely be temporarily in Michigan for maybe a few hours at least, though.
All right. So,
Best that you get to.
so Mark, on the anything going on in the chat?
Oh yeah, we got a bunch of people here chatting, but pretty much everybody that's here. A few other people though. Mikey, I saw Mikey and Tom C. And who else? Ken can make it. Yes, hi to your brother there, Jason. Bill Pierce made a comment. So, yep, and then just the rest of us here on the panel. So,
Okay. Let's see. What's my script say? Project updates. Who wants to be first?
Please, not everyone at once.
Crickets.
Please,
do you have a
please,
project
control
update?
yourselves.
I'm going to hold off my project update until we get to the Tech Talk stuff there, because we'll go into a bit
Gotcha.
of detail there. So
Anybody else?
Do purchases
I
count
think-
as a project?
I nominate Nick Morata.
Yes,
Nick
project.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can,
Project
I can talk a little more. I can talk a little more. I got my CoCo 2.
I think since you got your Coco Do, that you need to play the Coco Do song on your ukulele.
That's a good call.
Oh
I
boy.
second that one.
All
Well, wait a second. I heard no boy. I don't know. That's maybe later.
Hey, I do have a queued up for later on.
Yeah, there
No,
we
we'll
go.
call that a teaser.
But there's my CoCo 2 with the cartridge I got, which I couldn't ask. It was a random cartridge, and I couldn't ask for a different game. I really love that one. And
Good
Nice.
game.
what did it all come with? Did you get some other hardware like joysticks? Or
I got
cassette-
two black joysticks, cassette cable. So here's my cassette adapter, my cassette player. I repurposed an old netbook as to a to feed the WAV file to my computer for now until
Nice,
I get
nice.
a CoCo SDC. But right now it's serving me well, so I can load a few different games. It's on just on an old LCD TV, and 2 Black Beauty joysticks, and that's pretty much it.
Looks nice.
It was a good deal, and the keyboard's he cleaned up the keyboard so nice. I thought he replaced it because it's really bright. The case
melted.
the case
Yeah,
is
melted
yellow.
keyboard there too.
Yeah, the case is yellowed, but the keyboard is bright. So I'm happy with it.
It might have been a lighter keyboard, and they took the keyboard and swapped it with the other
No, I
machine.
asked him if he did. I asked him if it was the same original keyboard, and he said yeah. He just said
It looks-
It's a melty key, right?
yeah, I think so. I can't. Yeah.
Are they real flat?
I wish I could bring my. I wish I could bring the webcam closer, but I can't.
Are the
They're
keys
probably-
really flat?
The CoCo 2 melted keyboards were a different build to the CoCo 1 ones, weren't they?
No.
I've got one here. This one I've got here is out of a CoCo 1. And
It's
it's
the
the one
same.
that,
If it's melted, it's higher than I remember it being.
it's
So
the one where you can't actually take it apart because it's got all the
Yeah,
so
it's
you can't
riveted.
actually do anything. Yeah, you can't actually do anything to repair it if they go wrong. So
I'll get a picture of it, and you can. Because I thought the melted ones were more melted than that one is, but
Yeah, Jason's got a melted one there.
Right.
Yeah, they look kind of wide and short versus the.
Right. Yeah, they're
We should probably explain to newbies that it's not actually melted.
Yeah.
To melt your keyboard,
And don't
set your microwave to low. And
don't
make
chew
sure to
the
wrap it
chiclet,
in foil.
and don't chew the chiclet keyboards either.
They
Learn that one the hard way.
taste terrible.
He gave me the cable adapter too to hook it up to the F-type connector, so I could hook it up. So it's hooked
The
up by
matching
coax.
transformer.
It's hooked up by coax right now. So yeah. It's hooked
Nice.
up for now.
He set you up nicely.
Yeah. I'm actually
Okay.
going to mention the show to him because he sounds like he's a collector of different hardware. He's got a few other things too, like his ZX Spectrum. So I'm going to mention the show to him and see if he's interested in at least checking it out.
That'd be cool. Now, did you get a 16K or a 64K model?
It's a 64K.
Okay, so you're ready to rock all the CoCo 2 stuff then.
Have you ran the 64K memory test, better known as Sailor Man?
That's one I've been having trouble loading off my cassette deck, so I will keep trying. It's a little persnickety.
Jason, what was that doohickey you had there?
That's a matching transformer, so you can use the.
Well, it's not even a matching
video
transformer. It's just RCA to F because it's
Except
already a
mine's-
75 ohm output.
But mine's a cable. It's got that on one end and the coax on the other. It's not a separate.
I have some of those too. Yeah, I have.
Which is a bit of a pain because I wanted longer cable. I put my VCR up here. I was actually gonna go through the VCR, so I could like switch different things in and out. But
You can use an RCA joiner to do that and get a good quality RCA lead and extend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just pick up one of these. I'm sure you can pick up on eBay or Amazon. It's just RCA to a female F connector, and
Hey, Radio Shack had them.
yeah, maybe. Do they still sell? Do they still sell these at the source? I don't know. You're in Canada. Do they still? I don't know if they still sell these or not.
The source became more of a cell phone kind of place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did Radio Shack.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may be able to find one. You may have to order one, but these are nice. And I have the cables also, but they're too short.
Yeah.
And this will just go right in the back of the MC10 is where I've been keeping it. And
Well, back in the day, I used one of those on my CoCo too. I didn't want to use the switch box anymore, so I got one of those.
no, why go from 75 ohms to 300 ohms and then back to 75 ohms?
Yeah, it's a huge loss. Yeah.
Basically like one of these.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I don't have one of those now.
You.
I had one of them too.
If the TV doesn't have screws on the back of it, I want nothing to do with that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Worst of both worlds, right there.
Yes.
They were
Those
awful.
were horrible.
Does anyone want it? I will donate it to CoCoFEST.
Yeah, bring it.
Is that a threat?
Bring it with
I
you.
think you'd have to.
There's
you'd
an
have to
auction item right there.
Everybody
like a
should
negative bid.
experience one if they haven't.
You'd have
Will
to
they
pay
let that
some-
on the plane, Simon?
I don't know. That might be a PAL one.
Yeah. No, it's an NTSC because it came from an MC10. You know,
It is a mechanical lever.
That sounds like one of those like late night horror movies. It came from an MC10.
Came in
Well,
through
hey,
the window.
The MC10 killed the deluxe CoCo, so
That looks like a ZX81 switch box. Can't use that on a CoCo.
I have one or two of those myself.
You know, I've even used like an Atari 2600 switch box with a CoCo. It's the same thing, except the one with the CoCo says TV computer, and I think the one that came with the 2600 said TV and game.
Yeah.
well,
take the
at least
back
it's
pedal off
not
and
like a 5200, which required a special box.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're gonna. I can dig one of those up too. I got a 5200 sitting right here.
And Nintendo had a different one, an auto switching one also.
Yep.
Yeah, but it wasn't awful like the 5200 one was.
It relied on some kind of bias in the signal, so you can't.
Well, there's a 5200 joystick. I have that handy. The horrible 5200 joystick.
Horrible thing.
Yeah.
By the way, we have a comment from our fearless leader. He asks, "Why are you guys making MarcB do all the talking? Help a brother out."
What are you talking
Mark
about?
talk in 10 minutes. I don't know what
Oh,
Steve's talking
sure,
about.
he said that.
I was talking about my CoCo.
I think
I
he's
don't know what he's
watching a
talking
different
about.
show.
Yeah, it must be.
I think there's a big lag going on. He posted that like 10 minutes ago.
Probably
Yeah.
watching Game of Thrones.
What does he know? He's on a beach somewhere.
Yeah, looks stunning too.
Pictures of it didn't happen.
So like I posted in the group, I was like, so I'm getting a cassette cable. I didn't think I'd have a use for it, but then I'm like, oh, I can load the WAV files.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, you can even stick them on your
so
phone.
I'm actually really glad I got them. Well, like I said, I have the computer feeding it in, but yeah. So I'm go through the cassette.
There, I found my 5200 monstrosity switch box.
That's it.
Yeah, so
And they-
awful.
Didn't that
And
have
they-
the RF modulator
And they
built in?
die.
It has, no, I don't think the RF modulator's in here, but you plug the power into here, and the power goes down the one cable into the 5200. It's awful.
Weird.
Someday I'll
so
do
you-
a composite mod and maybe do the 2-port mod and just get rid of this whole monstrosity.
So not only do you have the horrible video signal, but you've got a power signal going down the same cable, clagging it all up with its horrible hum and
Yeah,
noise.
there's a power jack right. You get the power jack right here, and the F connector right here. And
wow.
what is this for? This is
Talk
well, that's
about some
normal
DC
and normal
offset.
and standby. And
Sending AC power down the same line as your video can't be good.
No, it's exactly what I'm thinking.
But it was
what could
economical.
possibly go wrong?
They talk about replacing capacitors, old capacitors in a power supply like that, and you got a ripple on that line, and you're going to see it big time.
MarcB, I don't know if you saw it there, but Rob sent you a message in the Zoom chat there to might be able to fix the chat up window on the main screen here for you.
All right, let me read through this while you guys chat amongst
Well,
yourselves.
Cover for him.
Vamp everyone.
So now that we've got Nick, I got a CoCo 2. Has anybody else got any acquisitions or project updates that aren't going to be part of the main segments?
Well,
I got a couple books that I picked up here last week that came in.
Go for it.
You're good at that.
I got the ever popular program catalog.
Oh,
It's
yes.
the little one that has all the different.
They come with the program packs when you bought them. I got a few of those.
Yeah,
Yep, I have one
kinda
too.
neat. Yeah, they're kind of neat. Got that. And then here's a book by John Guerrillo. I think it's pronounced Guerrillo. It's the color computer applications, and it just has a whole variety of bunch of different little basic programs in it. So it's
I
just
don't think I've seen that one before.
yeah, it's kind of a neat one. I hadn't seen that one either, and it has just I don't know, some examples. I don't know, just
Like, is it like utility, or is it like hardware project related, or is it everything?
no, it's just it's little utilities and stuff like that that you can program here. I'm just looking to see here. Where'd my page go? Here it is. Yeah, bar charts, Weaver figure generator, a sketch pad, a laser tank, which must be a little game that you can put in here. Yeah, just a bunch of little programs there. I can get some pictures of it for everybody if they want to see it or want some more of it. But it was kind of a neat little one. I hadn't seen that one before. And then one I'm sure Curtis has seen before, and that is the official basic 09 tour guide.
Yep,
So,
I have one back over my shelf here.
yep, this is one I didn't have. I had the other ones, but not this one here by Dale Barnes. So, yep, so that was kind of
Starts
neat.
off
And then
with
I
high basic, right?
I did pick up another one of these here. The like the flight stick style joysticks. I had one new in a box, but this one here I was able to pick up those out of the box there, and so this one that I can that way I can play with one. So
that one's really good for Timberman.
Yeah.
Does it? Okay.
I disagree, but okay.
And this coming from the guy who won it to the guy first guy that unlocked the other character, so I don't know. Works for me.
Have you
Your
guys,
mileage may vary.
You guys seen this one? It's a how to use your Radio Shack printer. It's by William Barden, who did the machine language.
Consists of one page. Plug it in, turn it on, hook up the computer.
Don't hold it up too long. You might get a cease and desist.
Yeah.
Here's a couple of things I'm going to donate to. I'm going to donate it to the auction. All right.
Is that Casino?
Casino?
Yeah. Do you have a way to light your stuff up a bit better there, Simon? Because it's really hard to see.
He's the witness protection program.
I'm sorry.
It's not meant for showing his stuff that he's trying to show, though.
Yeah,
too.
you're in silhouette, Simon.
Yeah, casino thing there.
Invasion Force?
Yeah, and I've got the cassettes to back it up. And I'll bring them as donations to the auction. And I've also got this. It's a bookmark, all right?
Over the CoCo history book.
It's a bookmark, and it's signed by Buzzy Pete and by someone else. I can't read the other signature.
Bill
Bill.
Liquid.
Lagodis?
Yeah, something like that.
Lajudas.
Okay, these are going to the auction. I donate them.
Cool. Thank you, Simon.
And I'll donate the cassettes as well to back up these Casino and Invasion Force.
They're
Brian.
TRS-80 Model 1 software, isn't it?
I don't know what it is because I just got it in a box with something else. But
Invasion
it's-
Force for sure is. I'm not sure about Casino.
Yeah, I think it is as well, yeah.
Brian,
If anyone can use it, they can use it, you know?
do you remember the book you got? I think you got this book where it's a cross-reference for BASIC.
Oh yeah, you got the little bound one. I got.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the bound one?
No, I've not seen the bound one before. Is that the little TRS-80 computer reference guide? Is that the one?
Yeah, and it's got like a Naga hide.
Ooh, real genuine Naga hide.
Yeah.
Genuine
I'd
Naga hide
have
leather.
that one. That'd be kind of cool to get. I like it.
Neat.
Oh, and this is by William Barden Jr. also.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, cool.
Okay, don't keep it there too long.
It's William Barden Day.
On that one there though, it's not yellowed, but didn't they use like a yellow type of like paper on it?
The edges are a little yellow.
Is it pre-yellowed?
Pre-yellowed.
Yeah, this has been around. $6.95.
Looks like pocket size. Nice.
Yeah.
So Richard's about to head out to work, just so you guys are aware. So we'll talk to you later, Richard. Thanks for coming on.
See you guys next week.
All right.
Yep.
Hi, Richard.
Thanks.
Look forward to seeing you there.
We'll have
I
some
figured
sort of a
there's
show
probably gonna
next
be no-
week anyway.
Is there going to be a show next week?
Well, I'll be
Yeah, I think
broadcasting
so.
it.
Yeah. We might check in with the CoCo guys.
Be broadcasting. Are you going to be all by your lonesome? It's going to be like, hello.
I'll be here.
Where's
I'll be
everyone?
here.
I'll be there.
I'll be here.
Oh, all those left behind will get together.
All right, and then I have
yeah.
and I have to adjust for the time zone difference because it'll be 2:00 Eastern, 3 Central, or no, 1 Central.
1 Central.
1 Central. I'm going to have to see. I'm already messing it up.
We're like the island of misfit toys.
Given that I
Not
can't
some
be
of
at CoCoFest itself, I'm planning to be here. So this is the next best place to CoCoFest.
I think it's the
Well,
best place.
We'll probably have some
Some of us
people
may-
remote in.
This is
Some of
also
us
the
may-
#1 CoCo podcast that starts at 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Is it the only
That's
one?
still a
that
little
starts
too vague. I got to narrow it down a little bit. On this particular Zoom channel, hosted by us,
Same Zoom time, same Zoom channel.
Yeah, 2:00 Eastern, 1 Central. There.
Those of us
Remember.
at CoCoFest will know exactly what time it is because 17 real-time clocks will be released.
I'm going to have
just
the.
one
I
CoCo.
can't
Is that going to
believe-
be enough?
I'm gonna have the imitation real time clock. So it's gonna be called. I can't believe it's not a time clock. It's gonna be self-adhesive and everything. Just stick it right on there.
That's the one that comes factory from the CoCo, yeah.
It'll just say it won't even blink. It'll just say 12 o'clock.
we saw the one in
The numbers are painted on.
Yes, like you used to get on like watches and whatnot. The little just fake clock.
Right, they
Yeah,
have a
the
little sticky,
little piece of plastic over the top of it, yeah,
Right.
with it written on. Yeah.
You'll need the David Ladd Maxi Mega MPI so you can plug all the different real-time clocks in at the same time.
A real time clock for every time zone.
That's
that
right.
sounds like
We'll
a
have a,
female
uh,
product. Maxi
We'll have
Mega. Yeah.
It'll be.
With wings.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
oh, dear me.
Not after dark, guys. Come on, calm
Yeah, I
down.
was just gonna say that.
That's the kind of stuff you see
That
on
was
daytime
vague.
television during the week.
Maybe I meant antiperspirant. I don't know.
Does anybody else got any updates or projects they want to mention here, or stuff they're preparing for the fest they're willing to talk about?
I don't have anything
I wish.
preparing for CoCoFest because I'm unfortunately unable to go because I'm on the other side of the planet and it's a long way to swim. But I do have an update on my synthesizer project that I was talking about earlier on. Running in the background there. It's finally hooked up to my original CoCo one, and I just literally wrote a bit of a proof of concept program literally before the show, just in the background there to output some sync pulses to run into the step sequencer, as you can see there. If I can get my finger in the right spot, and to the where is it? There. That's the envelope generators. I don't actually have audio connected from the synthesizer to my system sound at the moment, so I can't actually demonstrate the audio, but I'm hoping to have something there next week after I become a little bit more elaborate with the program on the CoCo. But as you can see for now, it starts at the top on the it starts at the top and does 8 sync pulses out, and then they synchronize. It's difficult doing this thing in a mirror. I'm in mirror, so move my finger left and it goes right.
Like a weatherman.
Is this a basic program you're running, or a machine language, or a hybrid?
It's just basic at the moment. I'm setting myself a challenge. I want to see how much I can do in basic and how tight I can get the timing. And if I need to do some tighter timing stuff in certain areas, I'll write some machine language subroutines and call them from the main basic program. But for now, that's just a simple basic program with 4 next loops and nothing much really more, just a few print statements and some maths. And I'm actually using the sound command, not even using the play command. I'm using the sound command to send outputs out the 6-bit DAC, and then the 6-bit DAC is connected directly to the inputs on the modular synthesizer.
What's your ultimate goal here, David? Is it to do a total retro music with it?
Yeah, well, a lot of the music I do anyway is very, I mean, as we showed on, what was it, episode 98, was it? I think we did, when we did the music thing. A lot of the stuff that I do is very much influenced by bands like Tangerine Dream and Kraftwerk. So a lot of it's sort of late 70s, early 80s inspired, but with modern technology. Yes. Yeah, JMJ is one of my biggest influences. And those guys literally used very much, pretty much the same kind of hardware as I'm using at the back there. In fact, my modular synthesizer is based on the equipment they used. The sequencer running up here is what's known as a Q960. It's by a company called synthesizers.com, which is on my t-shirt. And it's modeled after the original Moog 960 sequential sequencer that they released, I think it was in the early 70s. And that basically sends out a sequence of control pulses, varying voltages, which then go into oscillators and filters and whatnot in the main synthesizer module to produce notes and textures and volume and sequences the whole thing. So you can pretty much run all of that in real time, edit it and change things in real time, and play the modules and the synth, change the textures of the sounds as it's playing. Then play chords and melody lines over the top, and that's pretty much what most of the late 70s Tangerine Dream, Jean-Michel Jarre, Kraftwerk kind of stuff was based around, really.
And how do you want to use the CoCo with this then?
Well, the CoCo at the moment is the main clock source for all the sequences. It's actually sending out the control pulses that are actually that the modular synthesizer is sequencing to. The advantage with using a computer to do it is you can program in certain steps, and you can program different lengths for each pulse, and you can make them repeat on certain beats if you want, and make it interactive where the computer will respond to certain notes that you play, and it might change the sequence in real time. So yeah, having the CoCo sending out all the main master control signals for this. If I wanted to do something custom, I can just write a new program for it.
And do you want to create some sort of a graphical interface with this that you can then select?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'll have there'll be real-time controls on the screen. I'm probably going to use a combination of the joysticks and the keyboard, so you can input changes in real time on the screen and change patterns and change sequences as you're playing, literally. And one of the plans for all of this is the next album I work on. I actually want to release an album of all the music I do with the CoCo controlling everything. So,
well, cool. Yeah. Hopefully by next week you can actually have some audio demo that you guys can actually do on the show. While we're all at the fest type thing, so you have some new stuff to view for everybody there. Yeah. Well, depending on how the live stream goes, last time we tried live streaming audio, it was really ordinary, the quality. We were
Stevie and I spent a couple of days trying to get it all right. So worst case scenario, what I'll do possibly this week, once I get some more things up and running, I'll upload some stuff. I'll just record some live stuff here as a video file and upload it to my YouTube channel and post it in the CoCo Facebook group, and we can maybe, whoever's streaming next week could maybe play a bit of the YouTube video. And it'll all be original music, so there'll be no copyright issues.
Cool. Anybody else got any updates I want to talk about? I think Jason was waving something in the air.
Oh, I'm just building more switcheroos. I've got just another wiring harness I have. That's all. Just getting those all ready to go. That's really it. I'll have switcheroos and wallabies at CoCoFEST.
So just no new products this year from you? No surprises?
No new products for CoCoFEST. No, I've been busy with real life stuff and have a few ideas, but none of them have been able to come to fruition yet.
Okay. Anybody else on the panel have anything they want to mention that they've acquired or are working on?
It's a question in the chat there. I think it's directed to me. I can't quite read it. My resolution's not that great.
It says,
physical interface.
What physical interface are you using to connect the CoCo to the synth?
Yeah, okay. At the back up the two, again, let me get my finger in the right spot. Right there, that the big analog step sequencer at the top is a Roland System 700 sequencer that has a what they call a pulse shaper input, which takes any signal. Basically, it can be audio or it could be anything you want, and it converts it from audio into control pulses. So what I've done there, I've got an output on my CoCo directly from the 6-bit DAC output, and the 6-bit DAC is going into the control pulse input on that sequencer, and then the output from that then goes into the rest of it. So that's that's how it's interfaced at the moment. I'm planning on using the OPL3 chip in the Mega Mini MPI in future versions as well. That'll give me 2 extra channels of audio, and I can have a frequency, basically a frequency splitting device that'll take low frequencies, mid frequencies, and high frequencies, and give me 3 separate outputs per channel. So I'll be able to get 6 different outputs directly just from the OPL3 chip that I can then use to control 6 different sections of the sequencer once again. And after that, probably look at working possibly with Ed Snyder on designing a cartridge that will have a number of DACs built into it and also digital outputs. So I'm hoping to have like 8 analog outputs and maybe an 8-bit or even a 16-bit digital output that I can use as well. So that's further down the track though.
Cool. Are we done with updates then? Has anybody else got anything? Doesn't sound like it. So did we want to do a commercial break before we start hitting news and stuff?
Yep, I think it's break time.
All right.
That'll give me a chance to get some more coffee too.
And probably Ron.
You are watching CoCoTALK, the world's leading weekly video podcast featuring the Tandy Color computer. We spread the love to the past, present, and future for all models, including the original color computer, the CoCo 3, and the world-renowned exclusive French-Canadian CoCo 2. The radio show.
Hey, have you got your CoCo 3 yet? Hi, this is Rick Adams, author of Temple of Ram and Shanghai, and you've tuned into CoCoTALK, the nation's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer.
What's going on, everybody? Original gamer CoCoFEST here, and if you're a fan of vintage computing and retro gaming, then you're going to love our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. There you will find custom designs by Instagram artist Joel M. Adams. You can get I'm a Coconut, CoCoTALK, and other cool video game images on a t-shirt, coffee mug, or mouse pad. So if you love retro, then head on over to the retro swag shop at 8bit256.com today. Tell them the Original gamer CoCoFEST sent you.
The Radio Shack TRS-80 put the world of color computing into your home.
Instant loading program packs turn any color TV into an exciting game arcade. And there's more. The color computer is an educational aid, a home management tool, an up-to-the-minute electronic information service. The programmable, expandable TRS-80 color computer from $399 only at Radio Shack, the biggest name in little computers.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
And we are back.
Okay, so we have a little bit of news, not too much this week. Probably should see if I can share my window here. Let me just get things positioned.
All right, so I need to stop share. Okay.
Oh, it looks like we got 2 comments in the chat now. Maybe the chat's working again.
They'll slide off after a bit. Yeah, like that one.
Did you figure that out?
Yeah. Okay.
No,
yeah.
I haven't found a setting for that yet.
Okay. It looks like it's cropping. Like if there's a crop on there somewhere that you can crop the amount of space it takes up. Maybe it's something you can stretch out there to make it fill up the whole top of the thing or something.
There's a property setting.
Yeah, they've been going up to the top when there's enough of them, but they all just keep sliding off one at a time, like they're timing out.
Okay.
I see.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, they've been. They'll actually slide off to the right and vanish.
It's like they have a lifespan, and then they go time out and go away.
Right.
And I haven't found a place to set that setting, and then of course, why would that setting be different from last week anyway?
Yeah, that is different.
Hey, David.
New.
Mike Brandt says that multi-DAC cart idea sounds interesting. Yeah, I think it's
definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's something I got. Ed Snyder's already had a design software hardware that's got multiple DAC outputs. So I'm just looking at possibly working with him to expand that concept and just add a few more. So it can be used for all sorts of things too. It doesn't have to be used for music or synthesizers. It can be used for anything that you want to analog control voltage output.
Yeah.
I'm thinking from there it's a short step to add relays to it to control, say, line level, power level stuff.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. That's why I want to have the digital outputs as well. If you've got an 8-bit or 16-bit digital output, you can configure it to do anything you want. You can use the individual bits to directly switch relays, or you can feed it into anything else.
I think there were some Rainbow articles on how to build a. They used like the 6821 and drove relays with it.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll dig out. I got some stuff I did used a CoCo in a college project where I built a computer arm, and the interface to that was a chip, and I'll have to go find the documentation, but it had 16 digital outputs, and by just using peek and poke statements, you could read or write to those any one of those 16 outputs there, and you could configure them however you wanted to. And it was just a little single chip that I put on there. So
that 21 chip would do that. It has like two or three 8-bit output I/O ports.
Right.
Yep. And I used that then to drive some boards, and I made some stepper motor boards at the time to drive some stepper motors, and it was just a simple little circuit that I put together, and then use joysticks to move the individual axes of the robot arm. It's a simple project. I got an A on it, but I'll have to dig it out sometime. I still have it buried somewhere. So.
Cool.
That would be cool.
Stuff they manufacture today for I/O that they use with Arduinos would probably also still work with the color computer, with just a little bit of I/O mapping.
Yeah, you might have to do some level shifting. Most of that stuff's 3.3 volts, but yeah.
Yeah.
Shift it up to TTL or something. Yeah, it's pretty. Stuff like that's actually. I mean, there's tons of ways to do. You can really go old school if you want and use 4000 series CMOS and use gates and literally make your own decoders, there, address decoders. But there's not enough room in a cartridge to put 8 of something there with 8 of those 8 outputs on it using discrete gates. That's
chips are so new school, so newfangled. Go with tubes.
Yeah, there you go.
Get some spark.
I think it's time for news, guys. News time, guys.
Okay.
Let's see.
So is the screen being shared? I can't tell from here.
I think
yes.
Yes.
I can see L. Curtis Boyle's screen.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're seeing the first item I have up here is there was a guy who's been designing cases for, I think it's for the Pis, isn't it?
So what it looks like is Pi. Looks like a Pi.
USB ports and Ethernet ports and stuff on the side. So he's got samples here of a Commodore and a Tier City Model 1, and people were suggesting they should do it for the CoCo. Now we've had some cases kind of designed for this. I know John Strong's done a few, so I don't know if that qualifies. But these are like with multicolor and trying to match the original look as much as possible. So I thought that was kind of cool. It'd be interesting to see a full-blown CoCo one.
You need really tiny fingers to program that.
Well, that I don't think the keyboard's actually functional. I think it's just there for show.
It was a bad attempt. It's a bad attempt at humor there.
That's the only kind we have here.
You finally got to use for the Apple Pencil. You can just tap the keys with the tip of the pencil. So
there you go.
Well, that's the same keyboard I got on that Mini C64.
Yeah.
Yep. Non-functional.
And then here we've got an article by James Jones, who's a guy who used to work for MicroWare, so he's quite familiar with OS 9 and Basic 9. And basically, he has a bit of a tutorial here where he took a color basic program that was published in Rainbow, I believe, and then he actually converted it to Basic 9 and kind of goes through the steps of how to do it and what types of things you have to change, what stuff you can just leave alone. And then there's some differences between the languages too. There's just stuff you can optimize. So it's a nice article kind of giving an explanation of what to do. And that's something actually I would like to do a bit of a series on later on the show here, but kind of do a tutorial thing, kind of like Steve Bjork did with assembly languages, to do a Basic 9 one covering this type of stuff, or just, coding, starting in Basic 9 from scratch type thing.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
That'd be very interesting. Yeah.
Once EOU's done, no, if I do that, it'll be like 10 years from now. So yeah, we'll try to get something going on that there. And I might take some suggestions at that point too, if you guys pick some color basic programs or extended basic programs or whatever that you want to see converted, and we can kind of make it a multi-part, going through each part of the code and how to fix it.
That'd be cool.
And this is the one I think was suggested by Mr. Connor there. The Flopotron, was that your suggestion?
Yeah, I found it during the week actually. I've been following the Flopotron, the Flopotron, that thing. I've been following that for a couple of years now. And the progress that he's made in designing this thing. It's basically a thing that he programs from a PC, which uses MIDI files, and he sends all the data out to a bunch of old 3.5-inch floppy drives and hard drives and plotters and printers and things, and controls the stepper motors to produce sounds and like the percussion sounds and notes, and this one was done really, really well. It's one of his latest ones, and he's obviously done a few upgrades to this system. And it just so happens that one of the latest ones he did was Country Roads, and I thought, well, having being the lead up to CoCoFEST, I thought that was very, very appropriate. A nice geeky little thing like that, a very cool geeky thing with the Make the Trek music.
And you can see the wall of floppies here.
Yep. We've not got audio there.
Now, it's interesting to note things like, no, you're not sharing your audio probably.
Okay.
One thing interesting too, if you look at him, like the bass line, it looks like he's using multiple floppies, like maybe 10 of them, and you can see it, dissipates out across them, so he gets a complete attack on the sound.
Well, it's polyphonic. So you can play like chords on different. Each stack of those floppy drives, it can produce individual notes, and you can play them all together. It's really, really cool. It sounds amazing.
And he's even got
you'd have to share your sound systems.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure where that is here because I don't see it showing up.
Should be under share.
Like that font, nice.
Are you on a Mac?
Yeah, you can't do that from here. Oh, here, share computer sound.
All right.
Once we install special drivers and stuff, so
yeah, something just went funky with Zoom here. Okay.
Did we break the internet?
Anyway, it's a really cool. Here's a nice shot of it here, where you can see like his entire setup there, where he's got the various
orchestra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's done a whole bunch of songs like on this thing.
I maybe I'll see if I can pull it up here. I'm gonna share it.
Now, I
from
will
my-
mention the very first multi-voice song on the CoCo I ever heard back when I had a 4K CoCo 1 was Country Roads. It was done by the composer by Speech Systems. Now, it was too big to fit into 4K. It required 16. But I found out that if you did a Claude M off tape, and then you timed it to a certain number of seconds, which actually measured with my watch, and then you forced an IO error by hitting stop, it would have enough of the song loaded in, you can play about the first minute. So I actually, it was the very first multi-voice song. I didn't even know up until that point that CoCo could do multi-voice. I was just used to the sound command. So now, David, you said you might be able to share audio there? Or?
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up now. I'm just going to see if I can get this.
We won't play the whole thing, but just maybe play a little clip in the middle so we can kind of hear what the sound sounds like.
Yeah.
Here briefly.
All right, it's working on mine. Yeah, I've got to work out. Yeah, I've got to go share. Where are we? Share system sound. Where are we? Advanced.
Everybody look busy. The boss is here.
And then also, on the last little segment there, Brian the Music Man joined us. So how you doing, Brian?
Doing pretty good. How's everybody else doing there?
Oh, doing fine. Trying to keep the train on the tracks.
Can you
get ready to go to CoCoFEST?
Okay, let's try this. Let's see this. I don't know. If, hang on. How do I? Hang on. Wait a minute. I've got to share the screen as well, don't I? Wait a minute. Sorry. I've got a portion of screen. Hang on. Computer.
It's all right. It's a professional show. We're good.
Here we go. Portion of screen. Not that portion of the screen. That portion of the screen. What do we got there? Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see what happens when I press play.
Including your ad remover.
Can you hear that?
You're at 39. You're at 39 seconds so far. Nope.
Oh.
Nope. I don't hear anything in here.
No audio. No audio there.
Nope. Share system audio.
Hey, what? Where you go back? What are you doing there? Oh, we were going.
Yes,
magic. Guess you're having as much success as I did.
Yeah. How do I? What have I got?
21st century problems.
We're definitely upholding our production value.
Yeah.
Next news item.
Smile.
Okay, now I can't even get back to Zoom. Oh, here we go.
Anyway, I posted the link to the video actually in the chat, so maybe it'll flash by on the screen briefly, but anybody that's on the YouTube chat will get the link and they can directly link to it and play it themselves.
Oh, now I can't get out of this. How do I get out of that? I can't get my Zoom back to
Oh,
normal.
we can probably put that in the show notes, right?
Yeah, I'll make sure it gets put in the show notes.
Oh, now my Zoom's all messed up.
Hey, Mark, how's the magazine project?
Oh, kind of on standby at the moment. Ron is run into some external issues that's slowing him down a lot. So I am learning how to do desktop publishing so I can put the thing together. So we are on a small hiatus. So anyway,
don't use. I do not encourage you to use Home Publisher by Tandy. It's very, very slow.
Very slow. Okay. No, that wasn't even my top 15 choice.
Are you? You're using the shoestring publisher from Rainbow, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Script set. Come on.
Yes.
Script set.
Home Publisher.
No, that's just a little too retro.
Telewriter 64.
Bill Pearce.
I can.
Computer decks, and they can't play a YouTube video.
I got color script set on cartridge.
That's what I got to.
But hey, Mark, I did get that new Amiga magazine for research, and it's published by somebody called APC and TCP in Germany. So I guess I'm sure there are better U.S. based options than having Rainbow published in Germany. But if you want to know who it is, just let me know.
Oh, did you put that on your expense account or CoCoTALK expense account?
Yeah, yes, I did. I want to get that money back.
Checks in the mail. At least that's what they tell me all the time.
Anyway, if I can get the share back here, I'll finish off the news here quick.
Have you? I had to quit Zoom.
Right,
and then, am I stealing the share, or are you?
No, Curtis, you should be able to take it now.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it showing up there?
Yep.
Okay, I'll just fast forward a little bit here. Basically, this is, and I don't know how to pronounce her name, sorry. It's Noriko Mayagami. I know she's been on the Facebook group lately, and she was asking about like the Colossal Cave Adventure port for the CoCo, and she's been reviewing text adventure games, and she's done like Racket 2, and she's done Bedlam and a few others too, and some Model 1 ones, and she's been like doing the CoCo one. So this was her one that she just released this week, or about a week ago, of Pyramid 2000 on the CoCo, and she has a bit of an explanation of the history, and then she goes through an action, does a complete playthrough of the actual game itself, you know, kind of reading it out on the screen and kind of explaining, you know, the logic behind some of her moves and stuff. So it's a pretty cool review of a fairly complex game. So I put the link to that one into the thing too. This is a preview advertisement for Cloud9 with the Triad Plus and Protector Plus, which is a 2 meg upgrade that he's bringing out for the Fest. And he's got like some pictures of, you know, the assembly line, and he actually had some pretty cool videos of actually doing some of the cutting of the wood and stuff for the actual stencils, etc. And he's also selling, we're going to be selling the 512K and 2048K Color Computer 3 badges that you can replace on the front of your CoCo as well. So that's cool and something to look forward to at the Fest. He also mentioned there's going to be some other products coming out of the Fest too. This isn't the only one. This is the one he kind of announced last year. Now it's actually will be on sale. So.
Has Ed replied to my? I posted a comment in that about those memory to find out whether it was going to be compatible with the Gimme X. I wonder whether Ed's replied to that yet. Oh yeah, he has. Yeah, there we go. Get a hold of one of Mark's.
Says I have to get a hold of one of Mark's new expansions, but wouldn't imagine will be a problem to support it.
Good, cool, okay, yeah, nice.
Yeah, the one thing we all want to know is how is Mark allowing Sierra games to run kind of automatically without any problems on that?
Well, he mentioned something about a single poke, I know. The other thing is too, like the Sierra games, the reason they don't work is because all the memory upgrades up till now have been based on the disto reference. And what that did is it added 2 extra bits to your MMU registers to increase it from 6 bits to 8 bits, so you can go from 512K to 2 meg. Now, the problem was those were write-only bits, which means you could write to it and say, you know, pick a bank up in 1 meg or 2 meg just fine. But if you tried to read them back to figure out what I have mapped in right at the moment, it only returned the lower 6 bits. The other bits were always 0. So it returned the wrong memory locations. And the Sierra games did that. They actually wrote, you know, an 8-bit value and then tried to read back a 6-bit value. So if your video RAM and stuff is up in the upper part past 512K, you're getting bad results. And then the game thinks it's doing something with memory over here, and it's really doing completely different memory over here. So of course it didn't work. So I'm suspecting, I haven't talked to Mark about this, but I'm suspecting that he's actually got those 2 extra bits both read and write.
What's the purpose of a write only? Is that like a firmware thing or something, is it? Or
well, when Disto did it back in the 90s, I think it was just to do it cheap because the DAT port and the memory upgrades back then were like a couple $100 and huge. I mean, what it did and everything else. So
I mean, read only I can understand, but I mean, what's the point of write only if you write to it and you can't read from it? Why write to anything that you can't read from?
You have to write to be able to swap in which banks you were actually mapping into the 64K workspace on the 6809, which is why you have that DAT board in the first place. So it basically, it's just ghosting these extra 2 bits on top of the 5 or the 6 bits that are coming from the Gimme itself. Because the Gimme only does 6 bits internally. There's no way to swap until the Gimme X.
So it's flipping switches. You just can't read what the switches are.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. You have to keep a separate byte that keeps the actual state and then refer to it instead.
Nitrous 9 itself actually does keep track of all this stuff on its own and kind of did already. Just by fluke, I guess, or the way they designed it. So actually, I mean, it keeps track of some of the stuff on its own, but King's Quest Sierra games actually cheated. They don't go through the operating system to figure out what's mapped in at a particular time. It actually reads the MMU registers directly, and that's where the problem came in. So I'm suspecting what Mark's doing is he's actually got it doing read and write, so that way it reads it back and it's just fine. I don't know if that's the accurate description of how it works, so we'll have to talk to Mark about that. But
well, actually, as far as the Gimme goes and the early upgrades that were beyond 512, the problem was the Gimme is, in a lot of cases on the early versions, would actually give out the actual upper 2 bits, but they would always be 0. And then when you had another memory management unit in there and it's trying to put its 2 bits on the bus, they were conflicting with the early Gimmes.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, and welcome, Steve. Snuck in here.
Yeah. So the spec from Tandy is that when, as a programmer, we would treat the whole thing as a write only, even though some of the gimmies did accurately do a read back on the bits.
Okay, because I know the Sierra ones. I've looked at the code, and they actually did read the MMU registers directly,
which was a no-no.
Yeah, because especially in the case of the disto, because those 2 extra bits were write only by hardware design, probably to keep costs down and what I'm not sure. Or
Well, yeah, the main reason for it is having bits conflicting from one device and the gimme.
Oh, okay.
So what does that mean for this new memory upgrade? Is that conflict going to still exist, or did he find a way around it?
As I said, it was the
you'll have to
early
answer that.
gimmies in the design. I don't think it came through on the final where it put those 2 bits on to the bus.
So the 87 gimme overcame it, yeah?
Well, I have to admit, my first gimme was a letter C. I think first production was D, and then the 87 was known as E, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay.
So, Mark,
it's a pre-production gimme, maybe?
Yeah. Pre-productions were definitely throwing all 8 bits on the bus.
Okay. But it does sound like Mark has fixed it in whichever method he's done.
Yeah.
So
It's probably the same way that Richard fixed his.
Yeah.
Maybe. Richard gives you a physical switch, and we've got a poke from what you were saying earlier for Cloud9.
Or something like that.
Yeah, so there's a way to tell the hardware to basically fake being 512 briefly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I just wanted to mention that. And like I said, he's also got some cool videos on and some photos of the production process and stuff, and some cables he's bringing. He's got drive wire cables and stuff manufactured for the show already. So
it's fair to say that the Gimme X will solve this issue at the Gimme level.
I would think so, because I mean, now since you have access to all 8 bits right in the chip, right, then it should be a lot easier than having to do these little hacked add-ons and worrying about bus contention and everything else. So yeah, I would imagine.
Okay.
By the way, speaking of those pre-production gimmies like C, you think the D versions had sparkles? You should have seen the C.
That was part of the explosion routine, I think, for the games, wasn't
it? Speaking of sparkles, Curtis, you have plans. You probably haven't done it yet, but you have plans to implement that VDG issue on Nitrous OS 9.
Yeah, actually affects graph drift, true. The thing is, back in probably the 1.2 days, we solved that because we put palette switching, basically we'd queue up palette switching for the different windows if you change your palette, and then the clock driver would sync it onto a VSync. So it would always, wait until it's in the, the border blanking part, switch the palettes in, because that eliminates the problem. Later versions of Nitrous 9, after it went from commercial to, open source, for some reason that got removed. Maybe it was when they were fiddling with some of the clock stuff, when they're doing the clock 2 stuff, when they split it up. It looks like it's back to doing it the original old way, which means it's not timed to the VSync. So we have to fix that, and that should fix both the VDG and the graph drift, because they both exhibit that problem.
Okay.
On certain games and stuff. So yeah, we kind of know what to fix, but we have to kind of go through the whole clock 2 thing and hardware clocks and everything else to figure out exactly where it's got to be done. But we have figured out what's causing it. It's just basically because it's back to the old method.
But then again, if you wait long enough, will the Gimme X just take the problem away?
Theoretically, it could, I guess, if it's driving the video signal, which it is, because it's a VGA output as well. So yeah,
so,
probably could. But
well,
I mean,
I guess
Nitrous 9 has to
fix it.
run on things other than the Gimme X. You can't
Correct.
assume you can have that. So
yeah, that's true.
Okay.
There's
I'm going to save that one for a little bit. Go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, Curtis, there's not enough hours in your day to support that much stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm still supposed to be working on CoCoVJ stuff for level 1 too. So this is I'm not aware of who this is, Angelo Coelho, but he's posting about he's selling off a whole bunch of retro stuff, including a bunch of CoCo stuff, and he's got a complete list down here. I probably can't read it on the screen here, but he's got like Odyssey 2 stuff and Intellivision, Atari, K-Pros, S100 bus stuff, Macs, MSXs, and he's got some TDP 100 with complete with manuals, CoCo 3 in a box, CoCo 1 in a box, CoCo games, some joysticks, some disk drives. I know some people were asking about disk drives, like real ones, and he's got 3 or 4 at least that he was listing. He got some dual drive systems, single drive systems, etc. So he's got this huge stuff, and it's on Facebook. I'll just copy the link over to the chat here so you guys can see it briefly flash by on the screen here. But it's a huge list of stuff. If you're into retro collecting of any sort, not even just CoCo, there's just a ton of stuff there. So if you're interested in that, I definitely would get in contact with him.
Looks like he sold a lot of. He had about 4 or 5 CoCo 3s that he was talking about at first, and I think he only saw one in that list then. So it looks like he sold most of those already.
Yeah. And here's from Mark. He was mentioning I was mentioning some of the cables and stuff he's got here. So he's got some of his VGA cables. He's got some of his drive wire cables. He's got mini flashes in production, the Triad Plus stuff. So he just had a bunch of pictures there, including some of the manufacturing pictures of it actually being made too, which is just kind of interesting from a figuring out how things are done standpoint. And that's about all the news. I will end off on this one here, if I can find it again. And this will be kind of a cue into the game on sequence for Nick. So if you want to play the intro, I'll let Nick take it away from here and stop.
At the moment, I'm not hearing audio there.
Yeah, I didn't hear that either.
Okay, let's try that again. Okay. All right. So now I need to stop share so that we can share the other thing.
So Nick, did you want to take away on that, or?
Well, basically, this is just a continuation from last week when I was talking about. What was I talking about?
This is why you fit into the show so well.
Yeah, that's right. I think I was talking something about writing a program whereby we can take a standard CoCo 1 and 2 P Mode 3 game and alter the 4 colors on a CoCo 3. You can alter the 4 colors used in those P Mode 3 games, so you can enhance the game itself with better colors. And I think my example was, I don't know if you can bring up the web page that you had up there before. My example was with Puyan. Anyone who's played the CoCo 1 and 2 version, well, it was a CoCo 1 and 2 version of Puyan. You had things like a magenta skies, and weird colors because of the choice of colors that are available on a 6847 VDG. It doesn't really give you the chance to change the colors. So you could change the 4 colors prior to running the program to 4 better colors, and then run the program, and it looks a hell of a lot better. So what I've done is I've written a basic program like a menu system so that you can actually copy your P Mode 3 games. And what I've done is I've chosen a couple of games that I like, P Mode 3 ones from the CoCo 1 and 2, copy them to the disk and written a basic program which acts as a menu, whereby you can just menu select that game, and then it asks you, do you want to change the colors? And you can actually modify the basic program and put the modified colors into. I explain it all on the website anyway. You set the colors, and then the program can then switch to those colors prior to running the program. You also have the option to choose the higher CoCo 3 clock speed for any games which are a bit slow normally. You can speed them up. There's the web page finally come up. So I wrote the program and I did a website just to explain it all. So you can see in the very top. Well, there's some examples of what we can do,
Yeah.
but in the
I'll
very
follow
top.
you, Nick. You just go ahead and just tell me where I'm
Okay,
scrolling to.
yeah. On the top right there, you can see that's the menu itself, and they're the programs that I've chosen as in my favorites. On the left, you choose the game you want to play, and then when you choose the game, you can then choose whether you want to run in high speed mode. Some games are unplayable in high speed, so just say no if they are no good at that extra speed. But some games are a bit sluggish, so on a CoCo 3 you can bump up the speed. You can choose whether you want the new selected colors that you've chosen, or just go to the defaults if you want to play the game in its old P-Mode 3 modes. And then I've even got support in there if you have an RGB monitor or a composite monitor on a CoCo 3. And it can the colors that you choose will be RGB colors, but the program will convert those RGB colors to composite using Eric Gavriluk's RGB to composite table conversion, and it does a reasonably good job as well. Where to add things games to the list, it's just a basic program, and there's a whole bunch of data lines whereby you put the information for each game. Each line represents one of the games, and you can put the full name of the game, the file name that's used to run the game, and then the 4 replacement RGB values that you want to use. So that you can see in the top line there, the game is called Lunar Rover Patrol. So it displays the full name. The next entry in the data line is the actual file name that is on the disk that it loads it from, and then it sets the palettes, the RGB palettes, to those 4 colors instead of the standard CoCo 3 ones. And then below that are just a few screen examples. You can see the Lunar Rover Patrol. On the left, you see the original color scheme, which isn't too bad, but the thing is, the game is called Lunar Rover Patrol. So this is representing the moon. So since when did the moon have a blue sky and green mountains? I thought, well, we could correct that now. So the alternate color set now on the right has a black sky and a grayer black mountains and the brown ground. So that, as I say in the little line down there, change those colors and make the moon great again. So you can do things like that. And if you look, the second example, Puyan, on the left is the original color set, and
that's where they got the name
a
from.
pink sky and a blue tree. I mean, crikey! I mean, what was the programmer smoking? Honestly, the thing is, a game like this could have been done in the other mode that the CoCo 1 and 2 had, the one with the green borders. It had a better choice of colors to suit this game. Now, why they chose the buff screen mode, I don't know. I don't know if Steve Bjorg has any background information from Datasoft.
It was the magic mushrooms they were taking when they did it.
Well, they must have been, but I thought, well, we can change the colors at least to something closer to what the original game was meant to be. And you can see on the right there, I've got a blue sky and a green tree, the way it should have been. So you can improve. And now I've got a few examples just there on the screen that you can do. And all up, I think there's 10 or so games. I just selected my favorite games.
Really good.
Yeah, so it makes a big difference. But this, of course, only works on a CoCo 3, so where you can redefine the colors and you can choose a higher clock rate. Hopefully, I'm hoping that someone with a CoCo, CoCo VGA, will then modify this program to make it also support the CoCo VGA colors as well, because that has more colors to choose from, although you'll only be able to change 4 colors, because that's all that P-Mode 3 uses anyway. But you can use a lot more shades of the colors anyway. So that's there available for anyone who wants to, who has a CoCo VGA and can do it. I don't have a CoCo VGA, so I can't do it. But that's the program. It's from the very top of the website of this web page, you can download a DSK there called Game Menu. A DSK, download it, and you can run it on a real CoCo 3 or an emulator even, and play the games and change the colors to something a lot better than what they were.
What will happen if you try and run it now on a CoCo 1 with a CoCo VGA?
Nothing. It'll
the way you set palettes on the CoCo VGA is completely different than how you do it on a CoCo 3.
It's
you have to set up like
different.
a frame buffer, and then you have to sync it to a 60 hertz sync, and then you have to pop in some stuff on an even 512 byte boundary, programming the VGA chip, because basically it's ghosting itself on top of the chip, seeing if you're doing any reading and writing in a certain area. You have to do an unlock code, which is a sequence of bytes in a certain order.
It's a lot more complicated, yeah.
But on the other hand, it does give you 512 colors to pick from instead of only 64, so you can actually get more subtly shaded stuff than you can even on the CoCo 3.
Yeah. Mind you, I think 64 is probably enough for a full color game anyway, but it'd be good for people who have a CoCo 1 and 2 with a CoCo VGA. At least they could change some of those garish colors that we've seen on a lot of the P-Mode 3 games. Luckily, I guess most games that came out on the CoCo 1 and 2 actually used P-Mode 4 and the artifacting. So this program is only for games that use the P-Mode 3. It doesn't change the artifacting games as they were.
So basically, to get it working on a CoCo 1 with a CoCo VGA would be a rewrite of the program, basically.
Not of the whole program. The part where you change the color. I mean, on the CoCo 3, you have the palette command. You can just change palette colors 0 to 3 by just saying palette 0 and then a number, the color number. Well, on the CoCo VGA, it sounds like it's a little bit more involved in that. So whatever it requires, then you just change the area of the code where it sets those palette colors. Yeah, so I don't know how it's done. That's all. Otherwise, the rest of the program can stay the same.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously, the high speed mode won't work on the CoCo 1 and 2 unless Ed comes out and adds some sort of a speed up mod, whatever, and then this program would need to be modified for that. But as is, you can just run it in the normal speed.
Well, you could still do the poke 65495,0 for
that's
high
only
speed.
for basic.
It only speeds up ROM though.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Won't do anything.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
I mean, most games that were written for the CoCo 1 and 2, they were written for that slower speed, so they're not too bad. There's just a few where the game's a bit sluggish and could do with a bit extra speed, and on the CoCo 3 you can just clock up to the higher speed and make up for it. I mean, one of my favorite games, which I've highlighted on the screen, they're called the Touchstone. That's a great game. But yeah, it's just a little bit slow, and not too bad, but I always run that in the high speed mode. It's just so much better. But there's other games there where you go to high speed mode and you just can't play it. It's just way too fast.
It's like watching Stevie try to play Popstar past level 2 type thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah.
Now I will throw in one extra thing here. One possibility to get some speed up on a CoCo 1 and 2, because obviously the poke only speeds up ROM, is if you have a 6309 in there, we could probably put a loader in, and this won't work on all games depending if they use interrupts or not, but if they don't, it's just raw machine code, then you should be able to kick it into native mode and get it not as much of a jump as a CoCo 3 would get, but you should be able to get a 10 to 15% speed increase, which might help on some of these other games like Touchstone or Gauntlet or Marble Madness or something like that.
Would you have to patch the game itself? I don't know if you can do a poke before loading the program. It'd have to be the game patching.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, if you load the entire game in and if it's self-contained, then you could probably just set the native mode at that point, because it will screw up disk access a bit if you're running on a disk drive, because the NMI now is pushing an extra register in the stack, which BASIC doesn't have a clue is happening. But if you load it in first and then you do some little preloader thing that kicks native mode in on quite a few of the games, it should work fine.
Right. Yeah.
Bill Pierce has a question. He says, "Doesn't the Coco VGA allow the use of the speed up poke?"
No,
not
that I'm aware
as
of.
is.
Because that you have to speed up the SAM
Not-
and you have to speed up RAM and everything else. So
Yeah, not the 65497. 65495 works fine, but that works on a CoCo anyway.
Yeah,
but
that's
the
just
497, we tried it a couple of weeks ago on my CoCo one there, and it even with the 65497 still scrambled the VGA. So,
yeah, because the RAM refresh gets fried, not just the video.
Yeah, yep.
Right. Thanks for the clarification.
So that's what's been keeping me and Curtis busy the last week.
Yeah, well, both of us are supposed to be working on our big projects, Gunstar.
That's right.
Respectively, we've been fucking around with stupid colors.
Yeah. So, well, that's the thing, it's one thing writing this program, but then we spent all this time trying to find what the best 4 colors are.
Yeah, we were even arguing over what games to include on this first batch, too. So.
Yeah. Because it's not as if you can change these colors in real time once the game starts. So you got to sort of set them beforehand and then try it and think, oh, gee, that looks terrible. Then back to the start you go. So anyway, those games on the list have already had their hours of testing and experimenting with colors, and they're our favorite or my favorites.
Yeah, more Nick's favorites. He overrode me on a few.
That's
there.
right. Yeah.
It just means he's wrong, but still.
But anyone can change it. You can see by the basic program. You don't like certain colors, well, just bring up the basic program and edit the data lines. They're the 4 colors.
And to be honest, I would like to see what some of you guys would come up with. I mean, this is our personal taste, and also we only did a certain number of games. So if you guys want to do some other games and give us some suggestions, we can show them on a later show.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I mean, you might decide to change the moon background to purple. I don't know, maybe.
Or a nice bright shade of pink.
I think that the Lunar Rover Patrol looks excellent. That's what I would expect.
Well, it's a bit more realistic than the blue sky and green mountains on the moon.
And that's because I picked those colors, not Nick. Just to let you know.
Oh, okay. Well,
it even looks a lot better too, because the border is different color to the actual moon.
Unfortunately, we can't change that border depending on whether you're in the green or the white screen mode. The green border or the white border is fixed. You can't reprogram that.
I don't know. Is the Gimme X actually doing a change on that? Or are we going to be allowed to change the VDG mode border colors? Because that'd be kind of nice if that was on there too. But I have no idea if it is.
Yeah,
you can on the CoCo VGA. So I don't see why why Ed wouldn't write that into the Gimme X.
Well, that'd be nice. Then in the CoCo VGA version of this, then it could actually fix the border color to.
Yeah, well then you can make it black so you don't see a bright border all the time.
Yeah, you can do that on the VGA. That's one of the things I really like about it. As you can see in the background on mine, that's normally a green border screen, and I've got a black border running on it.
And then one other thing I wanted to mention too, some of the P Mode 4 artifacting games were designed as if they were P Mode 3, because basically you can treat P Mode 4 as 2 different ways. You can treat it as a 128 by 192 4 color, same as P Mode 3 is, and then you just have wider pixels, but they're always fixed colors, black, red, blue, and white. But some games also did it where they kind of combined the two. They did artifact colors plus they did the fine detail. Donkey King is a famous example of that, because he has the color for the girders is blue and the color for the ape is orange. But if you look at the barrels, they're actually right down to the 256 by 192 2 color. So you get a little bit of fraying on the edges. The ones that don't do that, the ones that do quote unquote pure colors without the detail, you could do a couple of pokes to change those back to a P Mode 3 and then use the palette settings we're doing here. So you could reprogram some of those to have different colors too. But the games would require a couple of poke patches on top of the stuff we're doing here with palettes.
Yeah, I think that would work on a lot of the basic games.
Yeah. I mean, basic, what I used to do to cheat to do artifacting without having to do any calculations, I just do P Mode 4,1, screen 1,1, which would kick it onto the screen so it's on P Mode 4, and then immediately do a P Mode 3,1 so that basic thinks it's doing P Mode 3. I left the screen command out so it stays in P Mode 4, but then you get four fully controlled colors with black, blue, orange, and white.
I think some of those P Mode 4 games you could press like the clear key, like
Cashman and Time Bad and a few others had it, or some of Steam Works games too, mainly for the European market for PAL, right?
Right, and Temple of Rom was one that had that.
Yeah, so those you could actually set the palettes, and then you just have to remember to hit that key to switch the mode on the game itself, and then you'd get the new custom palettes.
Right, and that's exactly what I did with the little Temple of Rom workaround I did for that at one point.
Okay, that's it. Any
Very
other
cool.
game news?
Yeah, how about Gunstar?
Well, because I keep getting distracted by things like this, I haven't done anything yet. But now that this is over, I can get back to it. I've got a few ideas of things I need or want to do, so I'll get back onto that. But yeah, distraction is over. I'm back.
Yes, quit distracting Nick, please.
Hey, and Ron Klein showed up.
Hey, everybody. Not sure if you can hear me.
Yep,
we can hear you.
Oh, perfect.
Well, we could end the game on segment, and then we can roll into whatever Ron Klein was going to talk to us about today.
Well, it's about the Nitrous 9, so we can make this into the techie talk thing. So
yeah,
do a CoreDUMP intro, and we'll get into it.
All right. Who got the flush in there? I thought we got rid of the flush sound.
Can't get rid of the flush.
Well, the thing is, the original graphics had this robot guy sitting down. So, yeah, Steve thought he looks like he's on the shitter.
He's not flushing off his steam thought.
I decided, okay, well, when it's a serious subject or segment, let's give it a more serious look. So I got rid of the robot to some thinking-looking guy there, and he's put the flusher on again.
Yeah.
I think the
Probably
joke
more about
is
the
that
host
robots don't go to the restroom.
No, they go to the oil change place. But anyway.
Hey, I didn't write it.
Anyway, the topic today, and the reason I asked Ron to kind of guest on here, and we're kind of going to kill two birds with one stone. I didn't want to do the Nitrous 9 demo myself because there's not a ton of updates that are visual. I mean, we added a couple of games, but mostly this is a maintenance release with a bunch of bug fixes to a bunch of things and some additional features on certain utilities and stuff. So that's kind of boring to watch. But Ron also did some updates for CoCoFEST here for his CoCoPi 3 project, including an auto update. And we got to test it this morning when I issued the new release, because his CoCoPi 3 has a menu option that actually lets you download the updates automatically, and it automatically installs them, unzips them, puts them in the right spot, fires it up, and runs it. So, Ron, take it away. Unmute more, Ron.
Unmute, sorry. Jeez. Okay. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, so anyway, like Curtis said, he just, him and Bill just released the latest Nitrous 9, and with the latest version of CoCoPi, there's the menu option that he mentioned to download. What I can do, not in front of the Pi, but I wonder if I can share a screen here.
Yeah, because you have the video you made of it, and it hopefully will show up in better quality here than Facebook did with it.
Oh, actually, yeah. If somebody want, let me see here, because I can actually demo it on my machine, but I just don't know if I can screen share here.
You can through Zoom.
Oh, here we go. Desktop 1, desktop 2. Let me do this. Okay.
You can select by window too, if that helps.
Yep, I see that. Let me know if you guys can see this.
Yeah, I can see it.
Certainly can.
Okay, so I'm actually running this on my main Linux workstation. I have the same menu for the most part is compatible with anybody that's running Linux and has MAME installed. For the most part, there's only a few things that are Raspberry Pi specific. So a lot of this will work. So by default, with the latest CoCoPi, we have a very simplified menu. There's a lot more options available, but the basic menu is what's the default now in this latest version. And if you go under the utilities menu, there's quite a few things here. And if you work your way down, there's a lot of options. You're going to see one that says download latest Nitrous 9 ease of use image. All that a person has to do that has this latest release is take this option. It's going to let them know that it's going to download the latest release. We just got to wait a few seconds here for the download. And if you already have it, it's just going to overwrite the existing one. It kind of warns you to let you know, because some people may copy more files to their ease of use image. And it's just good to know that you don't necessarily want to overwrite it. And once it downloads, it does the unpack, which you can see. From here, it takes you back to the utilities menu. If you go back to return to main menu, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Tandy Color Computer 3 option that says HDB DOS with 6309 and Nitrous 9 ease of use beta. It's going to go now. Hold on, because it's probably not sharing that screen. I'll back out of that so you guys can see this screen. Hold on one sec here. I'm going to get out of that, and I'm going to share my desktop. That way you guys can see everything. Give me one sec. Okay, let me know when you see that.
Yep.
Okay, so now when I run it, you guys should hopefully see MAME come up.
Certainly do.
And then it goes
it
ahead
DOS
and runs
automatically.
DOS
there. You didn't do
automatically.
that, yeah.
I like the simulated floppy noise.
Well, that's MAME. MAME's had that in there now for probably 10 releases, if not more.
Did it stop making the clicking noise?
Yeah, it's not right now. Oh, you mean the audio popping?
Yeah.
The Raspberry Pi still does that a little bit with Disk I/O, and I noticed it's really the floppy drive noise where the problem is. Regular audio doesn't seem to do it. So here's the latest ease of use, just like the other ones. You know, from here you can hit your clear key or whatever you have mapped to that, and you can bounce between the various consoles. And then, as you can see, the default in the Raspberry Pi, the Coco Pi, is a 2 meg RAM. So it's a pretty easy upgrade to go ahead and use this. Now, I haven't had a chance to run any programs or anything in it yet, but I just wanted to show people what they can do with this latest version of Coco Pi. Very, very simple to get into. And again, it's just a menu option away under the utilities. Now, the other thing too, for the people that have used the Coco Pi software previously, there's an option in here that says select default main menu, and you can see there's an advanced menu and a simple menu. If I choose the advanced menu, when I go back to the main menu, you're going to see some of the other ones. You're going to see the XROAR menu show up. You're going to see that there's a lot more options under the CoCo 2 and CoCo 3 menus. The reason we had the simplified menu, that was actually a suggestion from Mike Rowan, who has been doing some testing with it as well. And he felt that maybe overwhelming people right away with a lot of options might be a little much. So we simplified things where you can get into most features of Color Computer 2 and 3 emulation with a simplified menu. So anyone can toggle that option on or off if they want. Under utilities, though, you're going to see there's a lot of stuff here. I didn't necessarily want to turn this into a Coco Pi 3 demo, but the default now is Pi DriveWire for folks that are DriveWire fans. That is the default daemon, but your original Java DriveWire is still there. William Estelle's L-Wire is there. The new Pi DriveWire has support for the MCX 128 cartridge for those MC10 folks, but the EMC, the stock EMC server is still there too. So there's a lot of options here for folks that are that like using that type of application. TCP Sir, this isn't a fork of Jim Brain's, basically a modem emulator. This actually can work with the MAME emulation and even the XWAR emulator for doing telnet-based BBSing if you're not using something like Pi DriveWire. But there's a lot of stuff in here. I plan on having a demo of this, or at least talk about it at CoCoFEST. There's going to be some seminars on Friday evening, I believe. And I'll be speaking. I'm not exactly sure on the time just yet. I think some of the speaking events are about I'm sorry, it's not CoCoFEST, it'd be Tandy Assembly. I'll be doing some stuff there, but I'm also going to have the Cocoa Pie at CoCoFEST here next weekend. And for folks that are interested in seeing some of the features, or if they have questions, or if they bring an SD card to the show, I'd be happy to make a current copy of the image for them.
Cool. And I also like the fact that you actually took a Cocoa Pie 3 to actually add its own ease of use, like the simplified menu. So we're kind of in sync there with the ease of use thing, making it easier for people to.
Yeah, I wanted it to be. In fact, let me go back to. Oops. Oh yeah, here's where you can pick the different XWAR emulators. Let me go back and pick simplified menu. Now when I go back, there we go. And then there's the kiosk mode, which is kind of nice. That at the show, I'll probably have this on. This actually cycles through a lot of the color computer cartridges and things. It basically has a 2-minute delay in between switching cartridges. It's kind of a neat little thing for people that maybe go to a show and they want to just have a rolling demo of programs running on the on the Cocoa Pie as people walk by, things like that. So,
how big of an SD card do you need for the image?
I actually have it fitting in a 16 gig image. Because I've reduced some of the programs that are on there. In the previous versions, I had, the whole Ultimate SDC archive on there. But a lot of that stuff people can add themselves. It's very simple to do, to copy files to it. There's Windows file sharing on it. There's a default share if people have it on a network to copy stuff to. You can plug USB devices, storage devices into a Raspberry Pi, and you can copy files from there. So I tried to eliminate some of those things to shrink the image up. And when you do that, a 16 gig image, you compress it down. I think it's about a 4 or 5 gig download, which is still substantial for people, but it's about the best I can with everything, all the development tools and everything that's on there. From there though, I recommend probably a 32 gig would be the smallest I would go, just to leave yourself enough space. I have a 64 gig. I mean, SD card prices have come way down. So yeah, so 16 gig would be the minimum.
Cool.
Okay, so if we bring a 16 gig SD card, we can get a copy of your setup.
Yes, absolutely. Be happy to copy it for anybody that shows up.
Show the graphic.
Well, because I'm not running on the Raspberry Pi, Ron, I can't.
Oh,
I'm
you
running
can't?
this on my
Okay.
Linux workstation.
All
If you have a way to share your screen, though. And, by the way, that's the other feature. So under the utilities menu, there's an option here where I don't have it on this. It's not the Raspberry Pi. But basically, Ron did a great graphic image, like a logo for the menu system on the Raspberry Pi that you can actually run as a default. It's just kind of some eye candy. I'm not showing it here. It is on the available on the actual Raspberry Pi version of it, and I appreciate him coming up with the design. Ron's pretty talented with that, and so I reached out to him, and he whipped something together pretty quick for me. I don't know, it was a couple months back, I think, and I was very excited to put it in there, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll show it at the show.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let me stop my share here. So Curtis, yes, thank you very much for making that that static download available for use with this menu system. And if anyone else is interested that doesn't have a Raspberry Pi, if they're interested in just seeing how this menu system works with the scripts, and if they do have MAME on their Linux workstation or whatever, I'm happy to send them a copy of that stuff too.
Okay, cool. Ease of use all the way around now. Nick will be so happy.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Are you going to be at the show, Ron?
Caught me in mid-drink. Yes, I will be at the show. I'll be arriving right after work on Friday, so I'll get there, I don't know, probably around 4 o'clock or so.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, if he wasn't going to be at the show, that would make it hard for him to make SD card images for people who brought their SD cards.
Yes.
My question also is maybe you could look at my installation. For some reason, the text in the background stays, and when I put that banner up, it's there in the background off to the side.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll take a look at it. Not a problem. It might be. Yeah, we'll look at it. I just need to know. Are you running a widescreen monitor?
Yeah, but I've changed it. But
oh, okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at it.
Maybe that's it. Okay. The other thing is, some of the menu items for the CoCo 3 don't work. Like the ease of use. Even though I've downloaded the new version, it just crashes. So I'll show it to you.
Oh, yeah, because I've had other people. Okay, yeah, we'll take. That's interesting. If anyone else is using that and has the same problem, let me know. But I haven't heard of that, so we'll take a look at it though.
All right.
Watch out. You know, if things go a certain way, Ron Delvaux might have lunch with you.
It's going to cost them big time, maybe more than lunch.
Well, we found that if we can make things work for Ron, they'll work for anybody.
Yeah.
Good bellwether.
He's our official beta tester.
All right, cool.
All right. We're ready for another commercial break?
Yep, I think so.
All right.
The reading's growing stronger, Captain. Coming from a star system directly ahead.
CoCoFEST, make the trek to the place you belong. Illinois, Heron Point, make the trek. CoCoFEST.
CoCoFEST, May 4th and 5th. 2019 in Lombard, Illinois. Make the trek. Touch the heron.
Fascinating.
Hello, I'm David Ladd. Thank you for watching CoCoTALK, the world's leading live CoCoTALK show.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me. It's the original gamer, CoCoFEST. You know, gameplay.
To get your copy of a Gameplay Goodness Color Computer Gaming DVD today, head on over to 8bit256.com. There you will find several DVDs featuring color computer gameplay videos by the original gamer, CoCoFEST. So to get your very own copy of a Gameplay Goodness Color Computer Gaming DVD, head on over to the Retro Swag Shop at 8bit256.com and tell them the original gamer, CoCoFEST sent you.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
This year, I needed to give a real family pleaser.
Honey, please help me with this budget.
How about a new game, Dad? Please.
And I found it. Radio Shack's Color Computer 2. On sale for just $99.95. It entertains, educates, manages. It's expandable and affordable. Now that really pleases me.
The Color Computer 2. Sale priced for Christmas. Only at Radio Shack.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
All right.
Now, do Stevie's gameplay DVDs? Do they show any levels beyond level 1?
Not that I've seen.
No, that's what
Only
so many other
some-
What the hell is that?
What is that?
Yeah, that's great.
I've seen this movie.
Poison. Is it saying poison?
I thought it said poison.
Yeah, it sounded really spooky.
Yeah.
Did you hear that
I thought
coming
that was
through?
maybe the new Poison Tech commercial. Poison.
I recognize that picture on your screen now, Ron.
Yeah, David. I thought that was awesome. That was on Show Us Your Color Computer.
That's the one, the CoCo that's running behind me right now, the CoCo one. That's the same one. That's
I'm
it.
rubbing it
that
in.
shot.
And you had a keyboard too.
Oh yep. That was my first. Well, it wasn't really a synthesizer; it was an organ, but it was it was my first musical instrument with black and white notes on it.
Yeah, sorry it doesn't show up well, but it's pretty cool. I thought.
So what's the next segment?
What's the topic?
It's
I
you.
have no idea. I've run out of my segments that I had ready.
So, Steve, you had a topic.
I have a
Let's look at
Steve
the Glen
Bjork.
site.
We do have actually, Steve. We do have your discussion topic that came up on Facebook though about doing original games versus doing ports of games and transcodes, etc. So did you want to take away on that one and just kind of explain what the question was, and then we'll get into the discussion?
Sure. This is more or less for people to chime in with their opinions on this. But one thing I've noticed is a lot of people are saying, gee, I want this game that plays on this computer on my computer. It wouldn't be neat to see this or that, or like a lot of the talks were like, for example, the Mario Brothers game that was put on the Commodore 64 that got pulled and like that. But the thing is, if I'm sitting at home in front of my emulators or my computers, I can just play the game there. Why do I need to see a version of that on the CoCo? Now, a little background on it, back in the old days when CoCo games were first coming out, we did have arcade translations show up on the home computer. And the reason for that is people want to play the game in the convenience of their own home. But now we're talking about comparing convenience of playing a game in your own home against playing the convenience of a game in your own home. If you get my drift.
I think it's like bragging rights more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, pushing the envelope. Yep.
Yeah.
Boy, that was a long discussion on the subject.
It's like that's like the short answer. Why did Tandy do that? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't the Nintendo Entertainment System more advanced than the C64? So it'd be to see if you could emulate something more powerful on a machine that's
it's kind of like our Donkey Kong port by Sockmaster type thing. You wanted to see if you actually emulate the actual.
Well, something like Mario Brothers is a little easier to emulate in the Commodore 64 than it is on the CoCo because it does have tile graphics, scrolling sprites, sound chips. It's got a lot of the stuff that's kind of inside the Nintendo 64. Now, the way each of them does their stuff is a little different. So, yeah, there is some special work on that that's required. But in the case of the CoCo, trying to do like a Mario 64, if you notice that with some of my older games or my other games that came out, especially for CoCo 3, I had to minimize the size of the graphics I was updating, whether it be Z89, Super Pitfall, or Mine Rescue, or any of the games where I'm scrolling, is you're updating the entire screen. You can't update that much graphics memory all at once. So it is definitely tough to do scrolling games on
the Donkey Kong they just
regular
had
CoCo.
Rights.
What did they do with Donkey Kong?
They had just had to update the sprites. The
static screen, right? Just update
static screen, and anything where it's a full scrolling screen, that's a lot of memory to move.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now the one Pilot did it.
There are some games that actually use the hardware scrolling feature too, like Contras and Crystal City and stuff, but you're a bit limited to how smooth you can do it, and it takes a lot of memory. You're basically talking 512K minimum for those types of games.
Well, that's also if you're doing it for CoCo 3. CoCo 1 and
exactly.
2, boy. Well, you got a 6K screen, but you're still limited on what you can do. And
you're limited on speed.
But the real emphasis is, okay, why do we need it on a CoCo? Of course, as somebody said, bragging rights is one. And I can see that. If somebody wants to sit down and put the effort in to create the thing because they're doing that. But somebody just walking up on Facebook and saying, hey, wouldn't it be neat to see blah, blah, blah on the CoCo when you can play it on a perfectly good Atari emulator or on Main or whatever? What? Yeah, I just want to see it on the CoCo. I'm going, to me, that's just not enough of a reason to do the effort, because some of the stuff, to get the games running on the CoCo actually is more of a Herculean effort than anything else. And I could just see the time better spent on creating new titles, unique games, something that's nobody else has got.
And not only that, but you can design a game that has the scrolling that everyone wants to see, but you can design it in such a way so that the design is suited to the color computer better than trying to translate a program which was developed on another piece of hardware, taking advantage of its features. We're better off doing something fresh to utilize what we can do on the CoCo.
Gee, Nick, did you ever do anything like that?
Ah, yeah. Most of my games were originals. I think I only did 2 ports or conversions or whatever. Space Invaders and Pac-Man. Both of those were static screen games. But
new titles and new software and new things on our old original hardware is a lot more appealing to me too. I'm totally with both of you on that.
I'm kind of in the mix of both camps there, because the seeing somebody take something like emulating the actual arcade Donkey Kong sound and all on a CoCo 3. I mean, if you'd asked us that 20 years ago, we would all have said that's impossible. It just can't keep up. So when somebody pulls off a technical feat like Sockmaster did and actually gets it to work, then that is impressive. It's not just bragging rights. It also gives me, like, I grew up on CoCo joysticks, so I'm used to those. If I played on a PC or an emulator or something, I don't have the same controls that I'm used to, and it doesn't feel quite as good either. So I kind of like both.
Sockmaster said he's not really interested in an original game, so he has to do what's interesting to him.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, I mean, some people, and I would count myself in this too. I mean, when I was younger, I was fairly creative. I wrote a lot of basic games that were originals, but as I got older, for some reason, the creativity seems to be gone. Like, I'm much better taking somebody else's code and optimizing, like I'm doing with Nitrous 9 and Rescue and Fractals, whatever. But I don't really have the creative juices anymore to come up with a completely original concept. I'm kind of jealous of people like Steve and Nick that can just, pop out a new game concept, no problem type thing. Whereas I would have trouble doing that. Might have a much easier time porting something or making a conversion of something than I would have coming up with something original. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be making anything type thing. So for me, that's kind of my compromise.
Well, part of the problem for you, Curtis, is you've got this thing called life getting in your way.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Is that somewhere where sleep is too? I've heard of that too, but I don't really know what it is.
Well, when you were younger and you could do this stuff, it was your full-time job, right?
Yeah.
Yep, pretty much.
But even before real life got in the way, though, my creativity was starting to go down. Like I couldn't come up with the original concepts as easily as I could in the past. So I don't know why that affected me.
I think people still have an emotional attachment to some of these old games, like Donkey Kong and Super Mario Brothers, and so when they see them, it's kind of pulls a nostalgia string that a new game doesn't.
Well, I have to admit, when I get nostalgic, I just take my Super NES, plug it in, hook it up to the TV, and play the game.
Yeah.
That's right.
But it's a lot cheaper nostalgia if you actually do it on a CoCo, because if that's a computer you grew up with and now you're playing a game that it didn't exist even back in the day. I mean, this is another thing too. I think back in the day, it was much more important to get the ports, because to sell these machines, you needed to have clones of games that were on other systems that were really popular, or clones from the arcades. Otherwise, you couldn't sell it. If you had a bunch of really odd titles that nobody ever heard of, they wouldn't have bought the machine. They said, there's no Space Invaders on a CoCo. I'm going to go off and get a Commodore 64, Atari 400 or whatever.
Well, they might be excellent games, but nobody knows about them.
Yeah, well, back in the day too, Tandy, wanted these, like Rampage on the CoCo. Why? Because parents came in the store because they were buying software so their kids wouldn't want to go to the arcade and play the arcade game. They'd rather have them at home.
Of course.
But Steve, I think the problem is that that's in the CoCo 3 era. In the CoCo 1 and 2 era, Tandy licensed 4 titles? So they weren't really pushing that. They wanted clones too, Slay the Nearest instead of Centipede, and instead of Space Invaders, because they didn't want to pay the licensing fees.
Exactly. That was the thing, is Tandy wanted to make the whole kit caboodle. After a while, they started growing up and realizing that, 50% instead of 100% of the sales is actually pretty good if we've got a product that's selling 4 times more than what the other 100% we're getting. They started to realize that.
Less of a bigger pie.
Yeah. I mean, Zaxxon originally was strictly sold by Datasoft, not by Tandy at all in their stores, because they wouldn't pay the price. They wanted they wanted to buy the game, I think, for about $2 or $3 from us and then sell it for $40. And we said, no, you're going to buy it like any other store does and sell it. And what happened was we were showing it at, I believe it was Comdex.
Comdex, yeah.
And one of the big mucky mucks comes up and says, why don't we have this? Barry Thompson got in a little bit of trouble because that was the first time that they had to buy a PC, a computer game that wasn't part of their exclusive and their type of pricing structure, which actually opened the door for other companies to come in after that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be the first to admit there are some original games on the CoCo that didn't appear anywhere else that are actually some of my favorite games of all time, and I would include
Dungeons of Daggerath.
Yeah, Dungeons of Daggerath and Grabber on the CoCo 1 and 2, for example, and Photon on the CoCo 3, for example, are three titles that are some of my favorite games ever on any platform. So I
Like
do
Photon.
appreciate the original, but I'm not capable of writing something like that myself. So my personal opinion is that both apply. It's great to have original stuff that you can go. Only the CoCo plays this. I mean, obviously, an emulator means you can play it on pretty well any modern machine. But I also like the fact that if you're pushing the CoCo hardware to the limits and you're showing a game that was thought to be impossible back in the day, but you're able to pull it off nowadays because everybody has learned new programming techniques, et cetera, then that's just as plausible and just as incredible and
yeah,
enticing to me.
Yeah, but just to port a game over the CoCo just shouldn't be done because, I just like to see it on the CoCo.
No, I think it has to be like the technical challenge, like mentioning the Sockmaster wanted to see, can you pull off a sprite engine that's duplicating the real hardware, transcoding, Z80 directly over to 6809 and the sound chip.
Yeah, he did an incredible job with that. And of course, I don't know how many months, years he spent on the project.
No idea. Though Donkey Kong Remix came out rather quickly after, but that was just a modification of the existing code. And he's actually put it into arcade. So actually we have a CoCo one that went to the arcade afterwards, which I don't think too many other machines can claim.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge thing is a big thing for me too. As far as writing software is concerned, limiting yourself to nostalgic gear, like for me, it's the CoCo one is the ultimate nostalgia for me because it's the one I learned assembly language and whatnot on. And setting a challenge to do new things that are useful today on the old hardware is something that I find very appealing.
Mm-hmm. Another place where you may want to do a simple game translation from, say, arcade or another system is also when you're putting out software that's supposed to be educational in nature. In other words, it gives a person an idea of what they're going to have before they actually start playing around with the code from the lesson. So those also a good application for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not totally working the entire design from scratch and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. You have one less issue to cloud the person's mind as you're going through and trying to teach them on the subject.
Yeah. And then another thing kind of along the same lines is that you may be capable of coming up with the original concept for a game, but say you're not an artist or you're not a musician, like coming up with your own music to play in the game, even just as an intro, or coming up with the graphics so they look good. Sometimes that's something you're just not capable of doing. So if you're doing a port of existing game, you have some base graphics. You might have to translate them somewhat to fit on the CoCo, but you don't have to worry about that creative process on top of it because not all of us are artists and not all of us are musicians. And you've mentioned yourself, Steve, many times that you hired people to actually specifically do the graphics and the music and stuff because you were the programmer, the originator of the game concept, but not the artist.
Yeah, I was game designer and programmer, but still, the thing is, don't have to work in a vacuum. You can get people together and each person brings their talents, pulls them in and creates something fantastic.
I don't know if this ties into what Curtis just said, but when you're doing a game like Donkey Kong or Mario, it gives the end user a baseline on which to what to compare, like what to look for when they're playing the game. And they say, "Oh yeah, this is doing this the same as this game. This is a really cool technical feat," as opposed to an original game where you don't have that sort of comparison that you're doing, which is like I don't know if I'm explaining myself, but it gives the end user sort of a technical basis of comparison to see what's being done on the CoCo.
It could be used. The concept could be used for an original game. Nick is what you're saying.
Yeah, but you have this frame of reference that wow, it's doing what this game was able to do. That's really cool. And
you create an original game that has features that are familiar, like whether it's a scrolling effect, wow, this is a good game and it's got scrolling that's just like Mario, you can compare them that way.
Yeah.
But still be an original game.
Or like background digitized music or parallax scrolling or
Yeah, if you look at a lot of the CoCo so-called clones of arcade games, a lot of those were actually similar, but they had a lot of original content.
Like back when I played Pitfall 2 and I wanted a Nintendo and didn't have one, I was kind of like, wow, this is a lot like, this is really good. This is awesome. So, I don't know.
Well, I had a question for Steve related to programming, because there was Roger Taylor was having difficulty getting sound to work from your games on his projects, and then he figured it out. But what did you do with CoCo 3 sound that was different, I guess, than other games?
Nothing.
Oh.
Well, that put an end to that quick, smart.
Well, no.
So,
Okay, let's put it this way. CoCo 3 has a programmable timer. Programmable timer allows you to stop what you're doing at a predetermined time, which was for me about 6,000 times a second. It would stop what the CoCo's doing, and I would change the sound port, which is a 6-bit digital to analog converter. So I'm putting a number out there 6,000 times a second. And what you have to do, there's other things that use that sound port, such as the joysticks. To read the joystick, you have to change that same number. But if you change it and you don't turn off the sound going out of the system, you will get a click or noise. The problem is these emulators don't understand the fact that when you turn off the sound port, you also have to have it where the level of that was sitting there on the audio port will hang there because they have a capacitor. So when you shut off the audio, the same where you are in the sound, as far as going up and down, will hang there for just a moment. And then you read the joystick, you turn and you put back the original number it was there, and then you turn the sound back on. Well, as I said, the emulators don't emulate that part of the hardware correctly, and you get a nice little buzz. Now, I read the joysticks on the 60 hertz interrupt, so you get a nice 60 hertz click in the audio.
So these emulators need to be updated to be able to take advantage of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Roger Taylor figured out how to do it.
Yeah, not everybody knows how to do it. It's just in the case of the CoCo 3, we're doing more with the audio than we did with the CoCo 1 and 2, but it did exist in the original emulators of the CoCo 1 and 2.
Yeah,
and they
Rogers
fixed that.
Since Rogers is FPGA, so it's kind of hardware, he probably had to make it hold over the value that's being output.
Exactly. When you turn off the audio, you have to slowly change what's on there because there's a capacitor that's draining. And
yeah, basically got to emulate a low pass filter on it.
You got it. You got it.
So
that's the reason when you work on this stuff, you got to be both a hardware and software engineer.
So will MAME be ever be able to have that fixed?
Well,
the question is, could it be fixed? Yes. Will the people doing it worry about it? No.
So you bring up, so this is Ron, you bring up a good point. I have submitted, many bug reports to the MAME tester site for myself that I found and on behalf of others. Not that they're always willing or able to do it. They have to have people that can actually, program the CoCo drivers. But if we can get a demo program, maybe like a test program that shows how it works in real hardware versus, and I can run it on an emulator and we can do a small write-up, I am happy to submit and follow up on seeing what we can do. Because anytime...
Well, the problem with...
You're talking about Rampage and Super Pitfall, those are the main ones.
Yep.
Yeah, the problem with MAME is the people that are the core developers, they have their interests, which are, we want to emulate everything. And then there's, they also want to emulate the machines they used. So those are the ones they'd like to focus on. And unless you can get someone to adopt a particular machine and they accept that person into their little club, then you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, James, I hear you, and I do work with I do have some relationships with 2 or 3 developers that are more CoCo based.
Tim Lindner, one of them?
Well, actually, no, Tim is one, but I don't know how active he is all the time. There's a couple that I deal with that are more active. Tim's done quite a bit, and
well, Tim had the patch for the speech and sound pack. Oh, good Lord, that was over 10 years ago, and it just made it in a year ago.
Yeah, Tim's done a few things with regards to that. I think he even was part of the GMC audio support. I think he's done other fixes. But there's other developers. There's two or three others that are in the main development community that are pretty receptive to stuff. I know I've submitted probably in the last 2.5 years 6 to 7, and they've taken care of every one of them so far. So I feel, I'm not saying it's going to happen with this, but unless you at least go through the effort of trying to get it submitted, it's never going to get fixed. And I don't mind submitting stuff on people's behalf. I may have to ask a few questions and put something together where I can show the different examples of real hardware versus what it's doing in emulation. But I'm happy to do that if someone wants to provide me some of the additional information.
We can ask Roger. He's already kind of worked through the problem and at least fixed it on an FPGA level.
Okay.
The other thing is Curtis, who's the team working on VCC?
Oh, the OVCC one?
Yeah.
Or the regular VCC. There's 2 different.
Well, anyway, whenever VCC gets updated, I mean that's getting Rampage and Super Pitfall to work with audio I would think should be a priority.
Walter Zimbati is the guy doing the OVCC,
right,
but there's other people that are working on the actual I guess updating VCC as well, but they haven't been very vocal about it.
Yeah, there's a project on GitHub. As far as MAME goes, having a relationship with them, someone that they know, I think would really would help, because you've got thousands of people that they don't know that just come in and say, hey, this doesn't work, and
they're overloaded with complaints essentially.
Yeah, and not all of them are even valid. So I'm sure having someone that can show actually here's the problem and here's how someone else fixed it, or what the underlying issue is, or something like that, I think that would really help.
Yeah, let me see what I can do. You said Super Pitfall is one of them. Is it no sound, or is it just incorrect?
Zero sound, no sound.
Okay. I'll start with that one.
I'll shoot Roger a message here on the Facebook board and take the action item to kind of start the conversation.
Okay, yeah, just tag me in that so I can see it.
I'll do that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. We want Steve Bjork's games to be running perfectly everywhere.
Actually, I don't. That's piracy.
Oh, ouch.
I walked into that one.
There you go.
Well, but I might have the original copy of your game. It's legal to play it in an emulator if you own an original on your original hardware.
Right. Well, the contents of that ROM, did you pull it from your game?
Oh no, I'm talking like Zaxxon. I got the original cassette here, so.
Hey, Steve, in all seriousness, how does one, if I want a legitimate, because I bought nearly everything you ever made for legitimately at Radio Shack, but Z89 is not one of them. So if I wanted to buy Z89 from you, can I do that?
At this moment in time, no, because I have no way of generating the floppy disk or images. My development system that had the latest version of the software was stolen out of my storage unit.
Okay.
So I'm trying to recreate it from a floppy disk backup, and let's just say that a 30-year-old disk is a little tough to read.
Well, keep us posted. Earlier in the show, I mentioned this, and we're going to get some testers, but I believe the copy that's available, let's put it that way, after you play it through your 6 guys and you go back to replay it, you automatically crash into the front wall, and I feel like that's something a little treat that you put in there. No?
Well, let's just put it this way. My copy protections have always been known as multi-levels. You fix one thing, and there's another thing that will creep into the software later.
Well, I would love.
I kind of learned with the original Zaxxon to make it more difficult to get around the copy protection, because rather than going out there and buying the game, they would sit there and they would spend tens of hours or 100 hours or whatever trying to crack the game. Just buy the frickin' thing. Go, use the time. Go mow a few lawns.
You made it personal.
Get a girlfriend.
It's
something.
No, you couldn't
Ron?
get a girlfriend thing, because then you'd really be low on cash. So
yeah, exactly.
That's true.
And you have to buy the games.
Ron Klein?
Really bad things that would happen if you tried to crack one of his games. Like if you cracked one of his games, Stevie would all of a sudden be able to go past level 2.
Nah. Hey, Ron Klein. Sixie, otherwise known as Kieran Anscombe, said Demon Attack, which I believe is a dragon game. Audio issue appears to not do the right thing in MAME either. So you might put that on your list. Dragon, Demon Attack.
That's actually a CoCo game. That's a CoCo cartridge.
Oh, is it?
Sold, but that one I think uses a combination of 1 and 6-bit sound, or maybe just the 1-bit sound.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. So for Pitfall, that's a cartridge, correct?
Super Pitfall.
Super Pitfall.
Super Pitfall was a original cartridge from Radio Shack for CoCo 3.
Yeah. Now you do remember that Super Pitfall and Arkanoid, they used almost every single byte of a 128K system. So you've got to have, if you're not running on the cartridge, you've got to have 512.
Yeah.
I remember people sitting there spinning their wheels trying to come up with a version of those things that worked on a 128K system. And I kind of like snickered and going, not enough RAM.
And don't forget, part of the problem is that a lot of these programs, like you'll say Super Pitfall or whatever, was on ROM. So crackers have gotten the code and modified it to work outside of a cartridge. So they sometimes bring in bugs as well.
Exactly.
They may not. So it's compounding a problem that wasn't there to start with.
Now, I can't be responsible for the code that people put in to crack my games. I can't know. I'm sorry. Don't try and take me to court over that one.
This is America. We can try.
Somebody would do that. That the cheek of people these days. It's amazing. Drag you to court for pirating their game, and then the pirate doesn't work properly.
Well, I guess Steve just has to say, oh, my program's always had sound. I don't know what your problem is. You fix it.
Yeah.
It is. It's their problem.
Yeah.
And like Steve mentioned, I mean, if you multi-layer your copy protection bits there, so that the person pirating it isn't a very good game player and they can only get to level 2 or something like that. And then, there's another sneaky part in level 3 and level 4 that will suddenly kick in, so that, it plays fine up to that point, and then all of a sudden it starts going wonky.
So what's the answer? I mean, obviously, cracking your programs back in the day was terrible, but to these days, when there's no other way to play them, like you can't buy them legitimately, like it's such a hard topic, because you deserve to make money off your work. There's no question about that. But these days, if you want to play Clowns and Balloons, what can you do? There's no legitimate way to do that.
eBay.
No, you go to eBay, buy the cartridge, plug it into your CoCo 1.
Right, so you've got a limited number of people who can play it.
Well, I went right to the used video game store after Tandy Assembly there in Springfield and got a copy of Clowns and Balloons.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to have. The Mega Bug playing behind me is actually the original cartridge. It came with the computer I have.
Yeah,
So
of course,
it's
somebody's
cool
going
having
to
the
sit there
original.
and say, well, gee, if I buy it from the used cartridge store, Steve's still not making money off of it.
Yeah, that's.
Well, but
Yeah,
the
that's
thing is,
true.
you are gaining legal rights to using something, and
Yeah.
It has been bought once at least. At least you got some money out of the cartridge physically.
Yeah.
Geez, if you could sell these ROMs I'd buy them. Like if you had a way to actually sell them.
Well, as far as Tandy's license on stuff and the copyrights on the stuff that has my code that I copyrighted that is in Datasoft, I own all that now. I bought the stuff from the Software Toolworks and Samsung. It was $1, but I bought the rights back.
That's a pretty good deal.
What
So you
would
could
be
sell
the?
the ROMs for some of these games.
Well, both companies,
what
I
a-
went to them and I explained to them that, you guys have either this license or you got this copyright, and because there's also my copyrights in there, you have to enforce the copyright. And when the lawyers started realizing they're going to have to spend money on it, and I could buy the rights back so they're no longer liable for that, and was going to cost them $1, they thought that was a great deal.
Well, would you consider?
Save them a lot of lawyer fees.
Would you consider selling a non-copy protected version on DVD of all your ROMs and whatever? Like,
Well, see, that's the problem is I have to come up with a version that doesn't have the copyright. To do that, I need the original source code. See, if I don't do it on my own code,
you don't have that.
I don't have the rights. See, the thing is, a pirated copy has code in there that's not my rights. Boy, isn't life fun?
That's because you deserve. I mean, that's the thing. You like.
That really sucks. I mean, it'd be great if you'd be able to just, obviously you can all agree with this too, because it'll mean you make money. But I mean, to put your original code up on a website that you had, sell it, and then people that legitimately want to do it and support you can buy a copy of it. That would be wonderful. I mean, obviously, who would not agree with that?
Yeah, I'm still looking at something where basically there is an organization that sells software where all the proceeds go to charity. And I'm trying to do something along those lines because I'm not going to make much money on this. I'd like to just be able to have some legal way to get the games out there, go through a company like that, and then the money that you pay in, you're doing somebody good with it.
Because people will pay if there's an option. People will pay. Like
Absolutely.
Netflix,
Well, you people say that, but I'll trust you. Back in the day, no, they did not pay. They were more interested in pirating the software.
I think part of that though was the age. Like a lot of us were kids and we couldn't afford $40 a cartridge or whatever. And nowadays, I mean, some of us are.
Most of my cartridges were 20.
I'm saying 40 Canadian because that's what we're up here.
$29.
Last year I bought Popstar Pilot, and then I started a whole avalanche of people buying Popstar Pilot. It was great, and I was glad to see Nick get paid for his work.
If I get a 3, I'm gonna get it. Like,
well, the thing with Popstar Pilot is not only do you get Popstar Pilot, but you get the whole Nick Marentes back catalog for the CoCo.
Yep.
And actually, even before I knew that, when I just started getting back into CoCo, and I Googled Nick, and I went, whoa, Nick came out with something else. I immediately sent him money because I knew it would be good. And at one point, the last I had heard, like Nick's like, I'm done with the CoCo. But when I came back, I saw that. I'm like, I can get the whole back catalog. It's can't beat it.
Well, whenever Steve gets Z89 straightened out and available to buy, I'll definitely buy one.
Yeah, Z89 is, as I said, I own the complete rights on that, except for it's a knockoff of an arcade game.
Yeah, well.
How about Mine Rescue or Snake? What's when Snake made like CoCo 1 and 2 game you did? Like some of the stuff you did, not going through Radio Shack.
Or do what I did and then write a new game, in my case, Popstar Pilot, and then bundle, as Jason said, just bundle all your previous games in with it. That way, you're sort of getting money for them, because it encourages people to buy Popstar Pilot, whether they want Popstar Pilot or not. It's a good package because it includes about whatever it was, 6-7 games.
Yeah,
That's a good slogan. Popstar Pilot, buy it whether you want it or not.
See, the problem for me is I only have so much time like Curtis does, and every hour that I take away from income is really hurtful these days. So I'll see what I can do. Maybe time will get better for me or something like that. But because the things that that's happened in the last 6 to 8 months, things are rather tight and restrictive.
Yeah. What about just getting from somebody who owns an original copy of Z89, borrow their disc and just duplicate that?
No, I can't do that because it's I got to remove the copy protection because that won't work on. You know, it's better to get rid of the old copy protection and like that. And as I said, I can't take the pirated version and do that.
Can we just track down the guy that broke into your storage unit and lynch him?
That would solve everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, I had some really good stuff in there that he took, including my F-14 pinball machine. I really miss that guy.
It kills me that this guy broke into your unit, stole what he thought was a PC, got it home, powered it up, and said, "What the F is this?"
That's what happened?
And I'm sure he threw it out.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Because it didn't work.
Oh.
It's sitting in a landfill somewhere.
That's a shame.
But basically, for the people who don't know the backstory, Steve had his CoCo repackaged in a PC case.
Yeah.
It looked like a regular PC, so the guy took that thing, it was a PC.
Well, see, it was the easiest way to have your hard drive hanging off of it and everything else is just to pack it inside a PC case. And also, if you didn't hold down a particular key on the keyboard, the thing wouldn't boot. So even if you hooked up a monitor to it, it's still, it just come up with a black screen.
Wow,
This is the way
that was how I got my Model 1 back when it was stolen twice. The first time it had broken the day before, and the guy who stole it brought it into the Radio Shack Repair Center.
He's smart.
On this edition that of Crooks Are Stupid.
Yeah. And then he tried to ransom it back to me. I said, "Sure, we'll meet you." And 3 friends in baseball bats. Yeah, I got them.
Oh, yeah.
Then it was stolen a second time. And he called me at the store. I worked for a small computer store. And I said, "Well, we don't fix Radio Shacks here." He said, "Well, Radio Shack won't touch this machine because it's all different." Because my machine was very modified. And I said, "Well, call my friend Morty." And then I get a call 2 days later. Morty says, "Al, this is your computer this guy brought in." And I said, "Well, call the cops and have them come pick it up." And then the guy at the police station, he's like, "Well, are you going to pay me back the money I paid to buy this?" I'm like, "No." Property.
Well, there's an easy solution for that. All my equipment here, if it's not on my home network, it starts calling home.
Yeah, that's good.
Another thing too that we can do these days that wasn't available back then is GPS trackers. Put them in all your valuable equipment. If someone takes it, you can track it where it's gone. I'm actually going to do that very shortly with all my synth gear in the background here. I'm going to put GPS trackers in it.
Sure.
Some of that gear is highly collectible stuff, and it's very difficult to find. So
that's not just a monetary replacement; it's the rarity of the stuff.
Next door to you, Nick.
Hey Nick, where'd you get all the synth gear from?
All that pilot money
that were lying around.
I thought he was buying Lamborghinis or something with that.
Hey, that's my pop star, Jason. You stole it.
You sent it to me.
Oh, Jason,
hey, you know what? My likeness is contained in here. There's some 20-year-old footage that I'm in here.
Actually,
I didn't get any royalties on that.
Well, circling back to the original point of the discussion, did we talk that out, I guess?
I think so. There's definitely a mixed viewpoint on original versus clones, but I think they're all legitimate. It's just that people have different preferences or levels of skill, levels of ability for doing creative stuff versus.
On the Commodore 64, we started off this discussion about that port of Super Mario Brothers.
Right.
Well, but someone else did a game called Great Gianna Sisters that is a platform game like Super Mario Brothers, but had different graphics.
Mm-hmm. I guess
Nintendo let that go, right?
Yeah. I guess my opinion on the thing is really, if you're doing it for your own personal reasons, as a challenge and like that, I can definitely see it. But just because you saw a game on another system, don't go on Facebook and say, hey, it'd be really great to have this on the CoCo. If you're not willing to do the work yourself.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, giving people stuff to do.
Steve, I've got an idea for you. No, I don't. I'm not rattling your chain, man.
Well, you can always say, yeah, I'll do it, as long as you pay me the same amount of money that the original authors got paid as well.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
10 grand in advance, Nick. We'll make whatever game you want.
There you go. For 10 grand, yeah, I'll do it.
Hey, Tandy, they paid me advance and royalties to get me to do games, so.
We need an official Nick Marotta ukulele emulator on the CoCo.
Yeah, how about Ukulele Hero?
I don't know if you can pay me enough for that. I'm just kidding.
We have now degenerated to the lowest level.
You're welcome, Steve.
Ukulele talk.
You're welcome, Steve.
This episode of CoCoTALK brought to you by $5 ukuleles.
It could be worse. It could be MC10s.
Yeah, I was just about to say we could be talking about porting Z89.
No, I paid more for the ukulele than I did my MC10.
David, you're here today. Defend me.
I'm trying to think of something.
Yeah, the only use for a $5 ukulele is hitting it over somebody's head.
$5 one, yes, definitely.
There's James trained again. I just heard too.
Yeah,
I have a funny feeling you could be a little more than $5 worth, Nick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Certainly sounds like it's worth more than $5. There you go.
It sounds like it's $5.
It sounds like it's worth way more than $5 to me.
Anyway, I think we've beaten this topic completely to death and remembered it in the whole bit. So I think we should have a commercial break and then we should go over the fest. We should pull up the
before we go to commercial, just in terms, since we're on the subject of Super Mario, how do we encourage the gentleman who created that P-Mode 3 game where it's very Super Mario-like, where you, I forgot the name of it. I think we
Steve Bamford? No.
No, he's talking about Flag and Bird.
Yeah, something like that. No, not Flag and Bird. It had a Japanese name.
Whatever the heck it's called.
Yeah, that game with Japanese name, and it very much has the same motion as Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, and he's using the Game Master cartridge for the music, right?
Yeah, we haven't heard anything about that in a while. So I would say, let's encourage the people who are creating original games that are utilizing the Super Mario gameplay, kind of.
Yeah, I suspect it's the same thing as it's hit Steve and me. It's the real life thing. That's the thing. These are hobbies at this point. You're not going to make a living off CoCo stuff, so you have to sneak your time in when you're able.
Well, except if you're Nick Marentes and you have Popstar Pilot money, obviously.
Yeah,
and you can buy 2 Ferraris.
You need to pay for that Ferrari.
Well, Nick's got a very understanding family.
Well, I got,
but not for much longer.
I know you guys are going to go to commercial break and you're going to talk about CoCoFEST. I need to step away, but I just wanted to say I'll see everybody at CoCoFEST next weekend who's going. So
okay,
have a good time.
Okay.
Man.
Yep. See you guys here.
See you there.
See ya. Oh, I'll see you from afar.
Hi there, this is Mark Overholzer, and you're watching CoCoTALK, the world's leading weekly talk show where you can join in. Hey, come watch us and see what's happening in the world of CoCo.
CoCoTALK is brought to you in part by Placeblex Dietary Supplement. Placeblex, We think it works, so will you.
What's going on, everybody? CoCoTALK, and I want to say thank you for continuing to watch and listen to CoCoTALK. We love doing this show. We think we put together a pretty good show for you, but this show could be better with your help. So if you would like to send a feedback, a comment, a suggestion, a show topic, or maybe even your own little segment or bumper, then send it to us via email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live. This show would be nothing without you. Love to hear from you.
CoCo2, c'est le coq champignon, des micros et dans le pion. Pour le jeu, il n'y a pas d'attente, les études, c'est pas bizarre. L'expansion est dans ça, les commandes, tu vas voir ça. Notre CoCo est contrôlable, pour tes cours, c'est bien serviable. CoCo2 de Radio Chaton, la terre est dans le sac.
Un ordinateur couleur qui a de la personnalité. Le CoCo2 de Radio Shack. En solde pour Noël à partir de 149,95.
CoCo2 de Radio Chaton, la terre est dans le sac, c'est toi et CoCo2.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
You are watching.
Sorry, wrong button.
Coco do. Ask for it by name.
It's like commercial's over. Oh, I got to push a button.
I did check the label on mine to see if there was French on the bottom.
It could be English as well. It's good.
Well, it's English and French.
Yeah, it's both if it's made
But if
it's for
it's
Canada.
only English, it's not going to be from the U.S. Or it's
Not going to be from Canada.
It'll be from the U.S. Right. Oh my
It's funny.
God,
Some of
Mystery voice again.
I've heard
the Australian Cocos actually was spelled COLOR, and some were spelled OUR. So there was various models in Australia that had different that had each of the spellings.
No, you are.
Yeah, we just said
Okay.
no, you are. But what am I?
No, you in Canada.
No, you are.
You are. I know you are, but what am I?
Anyway, Mark, I threw up the link for Glenside's CoCoFest page if you want to bring that up and share. Then we kind of just go through and discuss it.
Okay.
And there's a little sidebars for attending events, vendors, that kind of thing. So,
all right, everyone see that then? Yep. Okay.
I guess first question is, who here on the panel today is all going? I am actually going thanks to some help from some.
I'm going.
Yep. There's your name, Curtis.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Who's Al?
Ron, you said you're going, which is a bit of a surprise today.
Yep.
And Mark, you're going too, I heard?
Which
Mark?
No, I won't be able to go.
No, but someone said Al be there, but Al's not going.
That's right.
If I was going to be there, I'd need to start swimming now.
So do we know how many people we've got on that list? 75 so far. So that's pretty good. Hopefully we'll get some last minute people in there too.
Yeah, I did contact Glenside and got them to make the appropriate corrections because there was some information that wasn't correct regarding myself and my brother.
Yeah, they said you were staying home and he was going or something, wasn't it?
Right, and they had it backwards, yeah, but it should be all fixed now.
That could just be biased as to who they want to see show up, I don't know.
I think what happened was my Tandy List account had my address and all my other information, but had his name on it.
You see you're going now, Curtis?
Yeah, I got some help from some people in the CoCo community that tipped me over the financial threshold I needed. So
good stuff.
That's great.
And looks like Tim Franklin says he'll be there.
Cool.
Yep.
Is he on the list or?
Jason is going, and he'll be autographing copies of Star Pilot.
Yeah, I just noticed. I've been looking at it all the whole episode, but episode number 105, Countdown to CoCoFest. 15 hours, 44 minutes, 18 minutes, counting up.
That's
not the actual count.
That's the clock.
I know. It's a real-time clock, but
I can't believe it's not a real-time clock.
I can't get an answer as to whether or not Ron Klein's going to be there.
No, Ron said he's going to be there. He's going to be making the copies of stuff. So
Yep, Ron, I'll
Otherwise, that would be one heck of a feat.
Yeah, there's Ron.
There's two Rons going for sure.
Yeah.
CoCoFest 2019, now with more Rons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More Ron.
I don't think we. Yeah, here we go. I don't think we need that.
The other one's John Strong.
Now, question for the people on the panel here: is anybody here that's going? Is it the first time for any of us? I mean, obviously, I've been to quite a few, but and Ron Delvaux, this is your third if you include Rainbow Fest, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Second time ever.
Yeah, this will be my second time ever, not counting PenFest 99 and 2000.
Anybody else first time or?
I'm not going to be going this year.
Oh, I would really love to make it my first time.
Somebody has to stream it.
So there will be a show next week, right?
Yeah, we'll have a show. We'll stream it. Whoever shows up, and
well, that's a matter of opinion.
In theory, they're going to have somebody can whoever is on the Zoom call who happens to be there can stream some of the stuff. Show us some tables.
I think Stevie and I were talking about too. Like on Saturday morning, we have this thing which we started just a year or two ago, where we kind of film all the booths and all the vendors actually get a break from their own booth, so we can show each other what our projects are. Otherwise, you have to sit and babysit your booth all day, and you don't get to see anybody else or what they're doing. And I think we're going to film that, and we'll hopefully upload that to the Google Drive, so you guys can actually show that during the show.
Ah, okay.
So kind of give you an overview of every single vendor and what they're doing.
Via satellite.
Speaking of vendors, it looks like you've got the vendor list up.
This is the event list.
Or event list, okay.
Yeah. So
has there been any changes on that since previous?
I couldn't tell you that.
When is the ukulele roundtable?
We canceled that because Nick's not going to be there.
Oh, darn.
Maybe next year.
I know. I'm looking forward to the keynote with Stephen Hirsch, the guy who did Speed Racer for Computer Shack, because I've never really talked to him before, never met him before, so it'd be interesting to see what his tales from the early 80s are like.
Do you have any of his stuff on your site?
Well, Speed Racer is on there. Well, the page is up there. I can't remember if that has downloads or not, if I got a hold of him back in the day to get permission. And of course, Simon Jonassen's flying in from Europe, so that'll be a bit of a treat.
Yes, that's the main reason I'm coming this year. He's
doing a seminar on hairstyling, I think, from what I understood. So,
and Pall Mall cigarettes.
Yes, and
let me guess: lick fingers, stick in light socket.
Licking fingers, I think, was optional, but I'm not sure.
So is there a media team or like even just a camera set up there which can film each of the events? Do they film the events there and then put them on like a YouTube channel or something, or is that up to each of the?
Stevie did that last year, and it was a lot of work, and actually it would be only 4 or 5 people actually watching live. So I think the idea is to collect as much content as possible. So we're going to walk around and we're going to film as much as we can, and then assemble it in post.
Sorry, that's what I meant. I didn't mean is someone going to be there actually doing it live for each one?
I think we'll all be trying to capture as much content on our phones as possible.
So the CoCoTALK after the show will be great.
I thought it was a bit odd. I was sitting in some of the forums with the YouTube stream on my phone, commenting on YouTube while I'm actually sitting in the room. That was kind of a surreal.
I do know Stevie wants to get away from having to actively move cameras and mics and stuff around there, because he misses so much of the show when you're doing that for all the seminars and all the different things, so that you don't. Like you said, he never really got on the show floor the first 2 years. Because he was so busy filming all the seminars.
And the other thing too is you get busy with the show itself. It's hard to, I should be taping this too.
Yeah.
I guess what I was really more referring to was not is there going to be somebody there to actually record each event. I was thinking like I've never been, so I don't know what it actually looks like in the room physically. But if there was somewhere where people were giving their presentations, it would be almost seems like a sensible idea to have a fixed camera set up there which can just record each time when something's happening.
have done that in the past, but sometimes the speaker moves away from where the mic is or isn't carrying a mic that's connected to the camera. It's connected to the PA system. So all of a sudden you can't hear them for part of it. If you guys remember Tandy Assembly the first year, that we had a lot of that where you could barely hear depending on where the person was walking or pointing to something on a presentation slide behind them or type thing. So
seems like they just need like a lapel mic with a belt pack.
Yeah, these
could go-
these CoCoFests, you don't stand at a podium and do your talk. You may be standing next to the screen, so it's very difficult to set up a microphone on a person.
They really need a belt pack with a.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
what.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, belt. Yeah, yeah.
I would
yeah,
encourage
Paul,
you, David, if you're interested, to go and look back at the recordings from last year's show, where you can see some of the presentations, and if you haven't done that yet, I would recommend
Yeah,
that.
no, I
There was some
haven't
good,
yet.
yeah.
And
So
some of them came out
they're on
good.
the-
Some people have good booming voices you can hear well, and others, like me, are kind of.
Yeah, okay. So that's on. I guess that's on Stevie's channel, is it? Or
I think it's on Stevie's CoCoTALK channel,
believe so.
not on ogStevieStrow. So you have to go to his other channel.
okay, yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure we'll try to record some stuff. And like I said, we're hoping to record the entire first walkthrough of all the vendors, because I think that's what people want to see, because a lot of people have new stuff coming up they're not announcing to the show. So that'll be the first time for anybody, even at the show, to see this stuff. And then that'll be hopefully uploaded and ready for you guys for CoCoTALK that afternoon, so you'll have some new stuff to talk about.
If I was in the States and I was coming along, I'd put my hand up to do sound for it, because that's my. That's.
And that would be the last year you do it too. Because,
Yeah.
this is so much work. I'm not getting paid. I'm not having time to enjoy the show.
I would take turns with him.
Yeah.
I'll back him up.
Yeah, if you get a couple people to do it, that might be a better thing, because you do miss a lot of the show if you're busy, even just as a vendor. I mean, if you're sitting behind your booth the entire time, you don't get to talk to any of the other vendors. You don't get to see what they're doing. Like I know after the first year, I went and saw some stuff after the fact that Jim Brain had been doing, and I had no idea he was doing any of that stuff because I hadn't had a chance to actually go see his booth.
Yeah. Okay.
Let alone test the cookies.
Yeah, no, I still haven't tested the cookies, to be honest.
I have already pre-ordered my cookies.
There's
That's why
someone
I
there to
brought all those
delete your
Kit Kats.
someone's there to delete your cookies.
Is someone bringing Canadian Kit Kats this year?
I've been getting a lot of people requesting that, so if you're going to be added to the list, you should just let me know.
Okay.
Hopefully it won't be real warm and they won't be a big glued together block.
Well, they're supposed to be getting snow at Heron Point this weekend or something, I think.
They're getting snow right now.
6 to 8 inches.
According to Tim Franklin.
Well, hopefully,
I got snow here.
Hopefully, you don't bring enough Kit Kats. You have to declare it.
Folks that are going to the show this year, bring extra Diet Dr. Pepper. We remember what happened to
Poor David Ladd.
David Ladd's last.
Pepper.
That should just be part of one of the programs, the presentation of the Diet Dr. Pepper to Mr. David Ladd.
Bring a bottle as the entry fee.
Yes,
I can just
things first.
Just have a constant flow of Diet Dr. Pepper. Just here's some more. Just people keep bringing to him the whole time.
Is David able to go this year?
Yes, he should.
I think
on it at this point.
Yeah, it's planning. Yeah, it's tentative. Yes.
And the other thing, I couldn't fit in my suitcase, but could somebody please bring the bald head brushing stuff? We need to polish that thing. It wasn't
Or the
shiny
buffer,
enough last year.
Yeah, either that or just a can of turtle wax and a rag. One of the
And a
two.
buffer.
Yep. And then after buffing him, then you can go out there and buff the bird.
Heron.
Buff the heron. Yeah.
I don't think you'll get quite as good as a sheen off of the heron as you will off the
Bird of a bird bath. This is a bird buff.
After all the people touching the thing, I didn't want to touch it.
Touch the
Bring your
heron,
alcohol wipes.
sanitize your hands.
Where has the heron been?
Oh, that's what we should do. We should get one of those hand dispenser, the alcohol dispenser things. Put it right next to the heron. Please sanitize yourself before touching the heron and after.
And after, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just taking a look at the vendors list here. I don't know if you want to bring that screen up again. We can kind of just go through those. We got some pre-announcements of some things that are happening with some of them. So Boise's doing his call to papers as he did. I think that's it, the last year or the last 2 years he's done that. Like I know Brendan submitted some of the CoCoVJ stuff as one of the papers.
I think last year was the first year.
Was it the first? Okay.
I think it was.
So I think Brendan might actually be doing an update actually based on some of the new stuff he's done on the CoCoVJ, which we'll be showing off at the show as well, like his editor and stuff that we showed on the show last week and the week before. Boys in Tech, obviously we'll be selling the Boomerang 2 meg upgrades. I don't know if he's got any surprises up sleeve and he had to leave, so we still don't know. Brian Schubring, you'll be playing all your music and the anthems for the opening for the show on each of the days. Do you have anything special that you're going to be showing this year?
Nope, not really. Just trying to get everything stable. I just still need to get DriveWire to work on OS 9 now. I think it might be a driver or possibly a clash with a couple of the modules that because I got it from Al Huffman version for that.
Have you tried it with just basic RS-DOS and like the CoCo SDC? See if it'll work.
Yeah, that works fine. I can do it that way. It's when I boot up OS 9, I know connect with this version of OS 9.
Okay, yeah, so it's a DriveWire issue, not a hardware issue.
Well, we might have some people with some Nitrous 9 experience there that might be able to help you out a little bit with that.
Yeah, I'll be talking to you, buddy.
There might be a few.
Yeah. Then we have Cloud9, which obviously announced that the Triad Plus and Protector Plus are going to be there, as well as all the cables and stuff. So, but he has also teased that there's going to be more announcements that he's not pre-announcing until the show of some other hardware. I don't know if that means pre-announcements of stuff that he's working on. He's going to show like demo versions of it, or if he's actually got actual products coming out. But it'll be interesting to see what he brings out there.
What's the mini
Spectro?
Well, the Spectro's been out before. He just hadn't made it in a while, so hopefully we'll have some new versions of that. And the mini flash he sold before too. Those are just like reruns of old products. But he's hinted that he's got some new stuff coming too. That's not.
He showed off a prototype of a keyboard, didn't he? Last
year, yep.
Yeah, so maybe you'll have that for sale.
That'd be nice.
Yep. Could be.
Could be something super too.
Sorry, what was that?
It could be something super too.
The next one on there is the CoCo Brothers, which is Tim and Paul Thayer. Now, is Paul still on the call, or did he have to head out too?
Well, it looks like he left.
Oh, darn. Because I know he's kind of helping sponsor with Simon there. So obviously Simon's demo that he's been working on the last while will be shown in full at the fest for the first time. Hopefully he gets it finished by then. But I don't know if like Paul's been working on several different games, so I don't know if he's going to have anything to show off there, like a further demo of something, or might even have something ready. But he's got a few coals in the fire there, so it'll be interesting to see. Then
what Simon's done so far on the demo is actually looking pretty good. He sent me a copy of it. Yeah.
Well, from the sounds of it, maybe he was being coy earlier, but it sounded like he sent you and Ron Delvaux and maybe one or two others pieces of the demo, but nobody's got the entire thing. Is that correct?
He sent an early version which had a bug in it, and then he sent me another one. Probably last one I got would have been 3 days ago or something.
75% complete.
Okay.
And I've tested that one, I think.
Yeah, okay. I think that's the one I've got. But probably the one we've probably got the same one, Ron.
Yeah, the very latest.
I know he offered to send me a copy of it too, and I said no, I'm trying to get the OU out, so I don't really have time to fiddle with it. So I declined because it was just pointless sending it to me, because I would probably get it to run at once, and that'd be it. Next up is CoCo Man. I don't know who that is, but he's selling some cable stuff, I guess.
Some schmuck.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody likes him, but I understand he tries to sell them.
Well, this will be the CoCoFEST premiere of the Wallaby cable that was originally premiered at Tandy Assembly. But
is this your annual truckload sale?
Right?
Okay, everybody all at once again?
Is this your annual truckload sale?
Truckload sale.
Truckload sale.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had to bring a truck.
Yeah.
No, there was a truckload sale at Tandy Assembly, but no, I'm not having a truckload sale. No.
Truckload?
There was a guy who brought like a whole box truck.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, I was just asking, the Wallaby, that's your dual RGB monitor cable, correct?
Right, that's the dual RGB cable, correct.
I might have to see if I can scrape enough money for that too.
Oh, they're going to be $10.
10 US.
Yes, $10 US.
So budget,
none of that money with Mr. Spock on it.
I'll just have to speed through all those toll booths and they don't catch it.
Flip the CoCo 3 over. So some people are just using it as a short little